bumps, and Alexander Gorbanov, the Russian cosmonaut, as part of their seat barter agreement. So the two of them, you've got Nick Hague as commander, and then Gorbanov as mission specialist still. So no pilot or anything like that on this. Also coming up with them will be a spacesuit that will be for either Butch or Sunny. There is a second one that is already on station. The other new information is we finally have a date for the undocking of Calypso while empty. That is now set for September 6th. This has to be done before the Crew 9 arrival. So basically, when I asked them about this in the press conference, they said in terms of the undocking, it's a simplified undocking procedure. So rather than the whole burn out, fly around, and then leave, basically they're getting out of Dodge. They're going to back away and then get out a lot quicker, leading to a landing in the deserts of New Mexico, somewhere in the White Sands Missile Range area on the 6th.
The simplified undocking is the just going to unbolt it and an astronaut's going to like kick it with a boot, push it away from the station. That's the simplified undocking. Just like, boom. Like this is Sparta mode. They're just going to kick it off.
Oof.
By the way,
Get out of here, yeah.
I found it rather funny that they have like two profiles for undocking, like one that goes above and then the this quicker one. Like I found that rather interesting that there's like two different ones depending on crew, not crew. That was an interesting observation. But yeah, I really feel like we all guessed this was coming the last 1 or 2 weeks. Like the moment there was like, I feel like there was a shift in how they started to communicate. There was this way of them almost like preparing this to happen, especially NASA in some briefings, where it seems, yeah, this might come. And well, Bill Nelson really didn't take any time on that press conference to confirm it. I found it rather funny how he just didn't be like, yeah, that's the decision. It was like 10 seconds after the whole press conference start where he just dropped that bomb.
Get straight to
So
the
yeah,
point.
yeah,
You know,
that was
don't like beat
interesting.
around the bush.
And also that it was unanimous in the NASA decision, at least, that NASA's like, yeah, everyone decided we want to send them home on Dragon, whereas Boeing, it seemed like there was a little more, hey, our spacecraft is fine, you should send them down with our Starliner anyway. But in this case, it's NASA's vote took overruled, I guess, in a way, or had more votes. So
Yeah.
that's how they're coming home.
Hey, we gotta talk about this a little bit because I was told originally when everybody was selling Crew Dragon to me, oh yeah, 7 people, right? And I see some people in chat commenting on it as well. But originally, wasn't Dragon supposed to handle 7 people? So what's the big deal? Like, why don't they just add in a couple seats or something?
I feel like
It's a rhetorical question. I can answer it, but I'm asking somebody else.
Yeah,
The
that's a
the
really good
capsules,
question.
yeah, the capsules. It's rated for. I mean, they said it could do up to 7, but it's rated for 4. And NASA's the customer, and NASA wanted 4. And like I said, NASA. It was NASA's decision in that regard. Like you got to remember, like if you okay, let's bolt another seat to it. Well, how's that going to work with seat rotation?
Yep.
Remember, 'cause that Dragon capsule rotates. Right, the seats inside, they rotate. So how's that going to work? Are they going to rotate and just crush the person underneath?
Yep.
Do they have to rotate the seats down or take the person out before? Like, how does that all work? And once again, for the people who think I'm like, oh well, EJ, they could do. Yeah, of course they could do it, guys. But you guys got to remember, they're not going to refit a capsule in a week
Yeah.
to go through all these procedures. Every single procedure in a crew flight is choreographed down to the second, right? Like maybe we'll say minute, right? You don't want to go and introduce more unknowns into an already kind of unknown scenario here, right? Send 2 up, bring 4 down.
Yeah.
You're introducing more variables there. You don't want to do that, right? Like
I
we
mean,
don't.
even just down to stuff
Yeah.
like center of mass and stuff. Like if you add 2 more
Mhm.
astronauts in the bottom of the capsule where the seats aren't normally, okay, you got to get out of the way because the seats rotate. How fancy, right? And you've
Yep.
gotten rid of some of your room for other cargo in the capsule because your nice seats rotate, right? You put 2 astronauts down at the bottom. Does that change things? You don't just like have them pile in and tell them to go to town. But
Mhm.
the answer is right now they've designed it for the capacity of 4. Even though you may have heard originally that it might be 7. Oh yeah, 7 people. Wow, so much better, right? The way that it's laid out right now and the capsules they're flying are designed to accommodate 4 people for a bunch of different factors. So, anyways, I saw that come through chat. I read all the YouTube comments, like almost all their YouTube comments, and I saw that keep cropping up in comments on shorts and on videos and all this stuff online on X and everything. But it's not designed for that right now. Maybe they could redesign it to work for 7 or 6 or something. But the capsules they're flying right now don't do it. They're not designed to do it. Right?
I mean, I said this last week, you know, because the question came up on Flame Trench last week, dude. You don't want to clown car your spacecraft. That's a really bad idea. Like
Yeah.
a really bad idea. Let's not do that.
You,
I
you
feel
know
like
what's crazy to me? Like,
What's up?
it's crazy to me that there's no interoperability, to say it right, between the spacesuit connectors.
Yep.
Like, I, I,
Yep.
I, I don't understand why they're okay. I get it, a similar redundancy,
Mhm.
different spacecraft, different systems, different lifters, all these different things, right? But the connection for the spacesuit, it seems like that's an oversight to me. Am I the only person who thinks that?
yeah,
I mean,
for for a thing that has been like the whole commercial crew program has been very much about, well, we have these common adapters and we are like trying to do this whole common standard. It almost felt like this whole like regulatory norm where you try to introduce a norm to docking to the ISS, and then this very crucial part of spacesuit is for some reason not normed. Like I also felt like the moment I have the spacesuit, this debate first came up, and they said like, yeah, we need to ship another spacesuit up so they can come home with Dragon. We're like, what? That's
Yeah.
You need to do that?
Yep.
That's interesting.
well, I mean, you've got the SpaceX one where everything is connected basically through the seat and the suit with the one single connection.
Yeah.
I don't think Boeing's is exactly like that. And then don't forget, you also have the zip up helmets on Boeing's as well, which is a little different connector too. So
Yeah.
I get the difference, but yeah, it would be nice if there was an adapter of some sort that they could just install on the end and go, hey, now it'll work.
Yeah, or come up with like, here's the adapter. I'd like to see how different they are, right? But here's the adapter that you need to plug in your Starliner spacesuit into a Dragon capsule. Like, we don't need to ship a whole spacesuit up there or a pressure suit, really, right? We
Yep.
just need to slip this one little thing. I mean, come on, Apollo 13 made an adapter out of junk they had laying around, and we're here on the ground and we can't give them an adapter instead of sending a
That
whole new
see,
suit.
dude, that's what I would have said because, you know, I'm pretty sure NASA has had experience with differential environmental control systems and life supports, like you mentioned, like almost like this happened right in 1970.
Yeah.
Maybe we should at least have some type of adapter. But yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, maybe they weren't taking that into account, but then again, unknown unknowns, right? Like I don't think anybody predicted this would happen when Butch and Sonny launched, right? Like,
Yeah, well, I think some people will say that they predicted it, right?
yeah,
But
okay,
whatever. Hindsight's always 2020. The simplest, the safest thing to do is not launch astronauts, right?
yep,
So
yep.
we got
There
to
you
push
go.
ahead somehow. I thought it
Yep,
was really curious that we think about these redundant systems more of a whole system thing, like, oh, the task is get someone to space, and that is here's one rocket and system and capsule that can do it, and here's another rocket and system and capsule that can do it, right? And they're two totally different things with the end goal of being in space or getting people to and from space. Versus, oh well, could this spacesuit actually connect with this capsule? Like nobody thinks about it that way because that's not a layer that I guess they analyze the redundant systems at, you know?
yep, yeah.
But I also think it's kind of, now that we are in a situation, like we are now right now in a situation where they need to provide something to have this lifeboat ability. Right now you would assume, hey, there's another capsule dock to this, so there's a lifeboat ability, right? Like there should be. It felt always like it should be. But now you get into the situation where like, yeah, actually not really. We're not really in the position to do that. Like there's always this wording when like, yeah, if we have to, we can strap them onto the cargo pallet, and like, but it doesn't feel like optimal to me. I mean, of course, the whole situation is not optimal. I that's probably part of it, but it felt to me like this is a bit surprising.
Yeah.
Mm.
Also, I did see some questions coming up in chat as well, asking right now the plan is still the launch on September 24th for Crew 9. As mentioned earlier,
Mhm.
they do need to get Starliner away from the station before Crew 9 gets to the station. And
They
yes,
need to
they are
free
planning
up a
on
parking
dropping,
space. They're freeing
ironically,
up a
into
parking space.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Dropping
would have
ironically
been.
what, Sawyer? Sorry.
Dropping
No, go
ironically
ahead.
into White Sands, which has not had anything dropped on it before.
So we
Never
got
mind.
we.
Let's just keep going.
Sawyer, where are you
I was-
going? Is that
I
a
was-
Trinity
I-
side
That is,
reference or
it's right
what?
next to the Trinity site is the landing
Okay.
zone.
Well, they didn't really drop that. They had it on a tower, but that's a whole other ball of wax.
Anyway, continuing on.
Okay, so when is Starliner coming back down, guys? NASA announced the date, did they not?
Yeah, the 6th.
Yeah, the 6th, I think.
We got the 6th. So
Hey, is it undocking on the 6th and coming back on the 7th, or it's 6/6 or UTC? I mean, I didn't actually look.
I mean,
time
technically
zone,
that
bro.
would be undocking. That's a good question. Yeah, because the landing time is like 12:01 a.m., so it's right on the edge. Let me double check that.
Yeah. Maybe it's just into the time zones. How do they work, right? Anyways, just a couple days, like a week out from Starliner disconnecting from the station, getting booted off the station to free up a parking spot. To summarize it, I guess.
It's gonna be an interesting post. Like assuming that that touchdown, not splashdown. You're not splashing down at White Sand. But touchdown, if that goes well, that's gonna, I think, start a whole new level of discussions internally between NASA and Boeing, because of course, well, I think we all hope this goes well, right? It goes well. It works well, even uncrewed, and just works. But I bet there will be some people at Boeing that as soon as that, if that works well, come in there and be like, well, told you, and be exactly like that. Because I mean, Boeing, we have heard from NASA, Boeing was of the opinion that this capsule could have bring them home. NASA was still diverting opinion here, so it's gonna be there's like a conflict of opinions here, and one of them two will be proven correct here in the assignment of this, or like the assessing of the vehicle status.
Yeah.
Now, see, Adrian, that's where I wanted to go with that. I wanted to just go around the horn here and ask that question. Do you think it's going to come down just fine? I think it'll come down just fine. What do you guys think?
We just go across in order. I'm next.
Yeah, Josh, what do you think, buddy?
Look, Garrett, our friend Garrett, funny astronaut, Reisman said it best. The best person I've heard say it so far, and it's that he would bet money that Starliner is going to come down okay, but he wouldn't bet his life on it unless it was absolutely necessary. And that's the difference between money you can get more of, your life not so much, right? But he said on an interview that he would bet money that it's going to come down okay, but he would only bet his life on it if it was absolutely necessary. And the situation we're in is that you don't have to bet your life on it, right?
Yep.
The only thing to be gained is somebody's ego here. Like, oh, SpaceX gets ego if they bring them home safely, and Boeing gets ego if they bring them home safely. I don't care who gets the ego. I just want them to come home safely, right? So
Yeah,
in this
absolutely.
specific situation, it's not a requirement to bet anybody's life on this. And
No.
that's a fantastic situation to be in because we have the SpaceX Dragon as well. So put them on the Dragon, bring it back down. If it goes well, fine. If it doesn't go well, hey, good, but most likely going to go fine. Who knows? You just don't have to bet anybody's life on it, even though you could, right?
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, what I've been telling people over on my end on Twitch is NASA. I mean, I've been saying this since we first heard that they're going to stay on like another week, right?
Yeah.
I've been saying like they're 95% sure that capsule will come back just fine, but 95 is not 99. You know what I mean? You have to be 99% sure when you're going to roll the dice with somebody's life like that, right? It plays right into what Garrett Reisman said. It's perfect.
It's
I don't want to mess with that.
Look, hey, Tin Man over here in chat, Boeing's autonomous software will most likely fail because the ship was designed for human operation, right? Not true. That's not true at all, right? Does everybody understand the situation with the software?
They can patch it.
They had a configuration that let the spacecraft operate autonomously. That's happened, right? That's worked successfully. And then when they put humans on board, they changed it to a different configuration that allows it to operate with humans. And it's the whole idea that if I'm aboard the spacecraft, I should be able to save myself, right? I should be able to grab the stick and, whatever. It's a different configuration. But rolling it back to the other configuration that's software only, it's not like they lost that ability. It's just that if they put that config in, they need to verify it. They need to make sure that everything's cool. It's not just assume that the spacecraft of today matches the config that flown 9 months, a year, or whatever ago, right? You have to put it in, and just like any software change you make sure that it's still good. So everybody hemming and hawing about how they forgot how to fly it autonomously. That's not true. It's just not accurate to say that, you know? It's the flame
No,
trace. That's why I'll say it this way.
dude. I mean, if they're going to adjust the separation trajectory from the ISS, why if they can change that, why wouldn't they be able to change anything else, right? I think it's a poignant question. Anyway, Sawyer,
Yeah.
do you think it's going to come back down, dude, in one piece?
I mean, personally, I think it's going to. The
Yeah.
quote that Duff's mentioned is absolutely perfect way to put it. This is also one of those situations where you'd rather say, "See, I was wrong. It didn't burn up." Because if it does, then you have even more of a problem. And then that brings the question of if you were to have the people in it and it comes down and there's a problem, that's a horrendous day. So that's one where I hope it makes it down, and I hope the people were wrong who are saying it's going to burn up on reentry.
Yeah. Yeah. Adrian, what about you?
Yeah, I think I think it's gonna just fine. I think there will be some, as always with these demo flights, there will be some review items and some things that NASA and Boeing will talk through. That's to be expected. I mean, the whole helium thing will be a major point of any certification going forward. But I think there will also be some re-entry items where they will just talk about and understand, and if they understand them, they're fine. But I think Starliner will touch down just fine, and I'm glad that there is not the need right now to gamble humans on that. Just
Yep.
let it test it out.
Yeah. You know,
Mm.
I'm gonna jump in. I'm like, I don't want to talk too much, but I'm gonna jump in with one more
No, go
like
for it,
pet
man.
peeve. It's so easy for everybody to sit back and make the decisions that they're not actually on the hook for, right?
Yep.
It's so easy to
Yep.
post on social media. It's so easy to say this, that, the other. You know something? If you're wrong, what are the consequences for you, person on the internet? Like, there's no consequences for you if you get it right or wrong. But that sort of mentality is so far removed from the people at NASA and at Boeing and the astronauts themselves who are on the hook for the decisions, right? It's just, God, you don't get off scot free. There are consequences. And so if you don't have to make a risky bet, why would you make a risky bet? Even if you think it would be fine, you don't have to make that bet. You just go
Mhm.
with with bringing it back on home on Dragon, right? And there's just no consequences to sit there and say this, that, oh, they should do this, they should do that. There are people out here who are going to make this decision, and people's lives are on the line. So being flippant
Yep.
about it and liking to pile on and stuff, it's really disappointing to see the space community do that because there's no consequences for any of you, right? It's just
Yep.
consequences for the astronauts and the people that make the decisions, honestly.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
it's a topic that I won't go too much into an FAA thing that we will get to back later.
It's a
But
whole other
honestly,
thing.
it honestly is the same thing there when we talk about these FAA safety investigation, and people are like, "Oh, just let it fly. What can go wrong?" And
Yep.
I'm always imagining the situation: are you confident to put your name down on an official document and say, "I'm 100% sure this thing won't hurt anybody"? And if you're not confident doing that, don't ask the FAA to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
JS Web Production says not for us either. Do you think there's no consequences for us? If I sit here and say Starliner is 100% safe and it is okay to put human beings on it, like if I said that on the show and then something happened, you wouldn't that wouldn't be a hit on me. Like y'all would still listen to what I said. Ah,
And it's also worth
you
pointing
know,
out again that
Yep.
you had Bill Nelson flat out say, "What Starliner will fly again 100%." Which talk about going out on a limb there.
I mean, I guess they paid for the mission, huh? So,
True.
They're
anyways,
about 2.4 billion in the hole, man. Yeah, I hope they would fly again. Jeez.
I honestly I see that's the like if there's a scenario where Starliner doesn't fly again, I from what NASA has been communicating, I don't think it will be NASA's side. If
yeah,
Starliner doesn't fly again, it's 100% a management decision at Boeing to end the program and
yep,
like no longer commit to this. But I from NASA's wording, from Bill Nelson's wording, they're committed to have the redundant ability to launch people to the ISS. So it's I don't think it like unless this goes horrible wrong, I don't think NASA has any interest in canceling Starliner after this.
Yeah. Everybody needs I'm opinionated about this, right? Everybody needs to realize that there was a time where the SpaceX Dragon capsule had problems and had not successfully flown people. And because somebody made the hard decisions to continue on with the program and put astronauts aboard and make that dream a reality, make that system a reality, we have Dragon today. But there was a time when Dragon was in a situation not exactly like this, but somebody needed to make the decision, we're going to take the chance on this, right? And they did. And now we have Dragon. So I'm glad that somebody out there is making decisions like that, trying to push us forward. I'm also glad that they're not taking risks they don't have to because they took risks earlier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I shouldn't bring up Mighty Unlikely's question that if NASA decided Starliner's too risky, why are they taking a more optimistic approach with the Orion heat shield? Too spicy?
I think the phrasing's bad there. Starliner too risky or other safer options, right? There's a scale that weighs those two statements, and they are not the same statements. You like to bag on something, you want to say, "Oh yeah, it's too risky," right? Versus, well, it's not that risky, but there's another option that's even less risky, so we're going to go with that. And like the choice of words there, you can sort of tell where people are coming across in their thinking or what they think about the whole situation based on the way that they choose to phrase it or who they're repeating what they heard, right?
Yeah.
I will not.
Y'all talk
I,
more.
I will not bring the exploration upper stage in this to discussion because I feel like that will make it. Because hey, how about debuting a whole new upper stage on a crude flight? That would be fun, right?
Oh, jeez.
Dude, I like that rocket. What a train wreck. Oh my goodness.
What a
I like
rocket
that
wreck?
thing. Yeah, rocket Rud. What a
Rocket,
rud.
what a rud.
What a
A
run.
figurative rud, not an actual one. Oh my goodness.
Hey,
They're even
Orion
talking
went all the
about
way
this.
around the moon. Like,
Yeah, that's
True.
good.
I mean,
You
I
know?
mean, it's hard to bring money into this. It's also like this comes down to budget. Like we have a budget to afford 2 crew capsules right now at NASA. For like NASA has the budget to afford to run 2 programs. NASA doesn't have the program to run 2 Orions right now. Like
yeah.
that's not in the cards right now. And Dragon, like I know people are saying just send Dragon. Well, Dragon cannot go to the moon just like that. It's not rated
Yeah.
for that. It's not made for that. So it's not a thing of like just just find an easy alternative to Orion. Orion is not like getting a capsule to the moon is not an easy thing.
Yeah. You got to
Yeah.
remember Orion and SLS SLS didn't go around the moon, right? But Orion and SLS put the capsule around the moon the first time they launched. SLS didn't come in and say, "Oh, well, hey, we're lucky if we clear the tower or it'll be a success if we don't clear the launch pad or oh, we're going to have to go we might make orbit but not quite," right? They didn't do that. SLS launched and it sent a capsule all the freaking way around the moon the first try and it came back and was there some observations on the heat shield? Sure. That's why we did it, so we could get some ground/space truth on exactly how that worked. Like, too spicy?
No,
No,
I think
no.
just the right amount of spice.
Just the truth. I feel like I
Now-
need a
Yeah.
ruler to slap people's knuckles with.
Now, hey, fellas, real quick. I don't know how much you guys listened to the last press conference that we had last Saturday, right? But there was something that I saw that Steve Stitch said towards the end. It was actually at the end of the press corps questions, and it's something that I just thought was very interesting. He said that somebody asked about like if the thruster. So okay, let me just give you a quick primer here for what I'm about to say. So once again, the decision was made to go bring Butch and Sunny down on Dragon in February 2025 because Starliner's thrusters are overheating. The reason why they're overheating is because they can't manage the heat inside of the thruster blocks. They're called dog houses on Starliner, right? So of something that's very interesting to me. I'd mentioned on past flame trenches that these thrusters are similar design to the space shuttle's RCS, and they are. They're pretty similar from what I understand, right? But so I'm wondering 30 years of flight data there. But what Steve Stitch said in the press interview in that press conference, he said that this behavior happened on previous test flights, right? He said it happened on OFT1 and OFT2. He said it happened on OFT2 at the end of entry, descent, and landing. They had thrust degradation and they overheated a thruster, right? So, okay, look, it's easy in hindsight, right? It's easy in hindsight. It's easy, Das. It's easy. You said we'd have no skin in the game. It's easy to say all this in hindsight, but honestly, if you're having propulsion system failures, I'm wondering, like, okay, this is where it gets spicy. And I'm getting, guys know I like Starliner, right? But why would you launch this if you blew out a thruster on the end of the test flight uncrewed and then be like, yeah, no, let's put people on it, it'd be fine. It'd be fine. That it'll be fine thing is the exact reason, like, why we're putting Butch and Sonny on Dragon in the first place, right? So, like Das, you're talking about like testing it. You eventually got to test and you got to send it, right?
Yeah.
You're absolutely right there. But they tested and they sent it, and the thing's trying to tell them something. It's trying to tell you something. It's a frozen O-ring. So it's a little bit of hyperbole there, but right. What the heck's that about? What do you guys make of that? Why would they do that? Why, if you were having this problem on OFT2, why would you put people on this? I don't get it. That's where I'm like, wait, what?
I think it's
Wait a
again
minute.
because the fact that the capsule came back just fine. So it's that kind of
Ugh.
assumption of if we've seen it before and the capsule came back, then everything's fine. And unfortunately, we've seen that before, and we know what happens when you get too complacent. And I think that may be a little bit of what contributed here. Obviously, not the whole thing, but a part of it.
Yeah. I think it's tough to know without reviewing the exact data and the exact time that it came in, right? But continue, it'll be fine is a normal part of spaceflight. It's just that there's a huge gradient in saying that, right? There's continue, it'll be fine, 1202 alarm. If it doesn't recur, just go ahead and freaking land on the moon. And then there's a thruster didn't work, or somebody thinks this about a seal, or, there's this huge gradient. And without knowing exactly the information that came in and exactly when it came in, this will be fine is a real simplification over what was said. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
that's tough without sitting down and looking at, like, hey, and I don't have this, which is why I'll say it out loud. On this date, this exact result was said, and then this exact test happened. Like, I don't have access to any of that specifically. I'd assume somebody was. But for me to go back and comment on, oh, well, they knew this at the time and they didn't know this at the time, like, it's so easy to do in retrospect.
Right? Yeah.
And it's different than making the decisions in real time, like before everything comes to light. But you got to find the balance. You can't not do anything; you'll never get anywhere, right? You can't do too much and to be too risky, right? And there's a line in between those two things where you need to fall, and it's always something that you got to work on. So
I feel like
I mean, dude, I understand we got the benefit of hindsight here, but honestly, if your propulsion systems are having problems on a test flight, I mean, obviously that's the time you want to find those problems. If you do nothing about it, I mean, not saying that's kind of the reason that they're in the position that they're in right now, but that's kind of the reason they're in the position that they're in right now.
I think
Yeah.
the
Just putting it
problem
out there. Like,
I think the problem for me would be not that it happened again, because there are issues on spacecraft that happen again and are understood. Look at, for example, the Atlas V rocket with the launch. They had this whole valve situation where this valve was starting to cycle a lot, and that scrubbed the first launch, if you remember that. But
yeah,
they
the chattering
quickly,
valve, yeah.
but they quickly mentioned that, and we're like, yes, we understand this problem, and we understand where it's coming from, and it's just a problem because of these special conditions on the crew flight. They understand where it's coming from, what the implications. And I think for this situation, I have not the problem with, hey, it happened again, but the way this has been treated, it feels like they don't understand fully, like, where it was coming from and what full implications and everything had, because obviously on the NASA side, NASA looked at it and we're like, hold on a minute. Like, do you fully understand the applications of it? Do you fully understand, is this safe? And that's my problem with this. Why was that not fully understood?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to, I've been saying, like, it's just an experience. It's a new capsule. Testing in the vacuum is tough. Well, they've tested in the vacuum before with these thrusters, and they blew out. They had thrust degradation. What the heck? I mean, like, I don't have any space program. Das, you said, I don't have any skin in the game. All we have is my word. And people, if I say something stupid, I mean, it's me. So, I mean, people are going to hold you to it, right? I have the court of public opinion to judge that. But
Yeah.
also at the same time, man, if my spacecraft is having problems with its propulsion system, I'm not putting people on it. I'm just trying to put that out there. Like, that's not, like, I don't think that's something that we have the benefit of hindsight. Like, it's like, oh, well, I wouldn't have done. No, dude, like, I know enough about this stuff that if my propulsion system, which are vital for the uphill and the downhill ride, are have this behavior where they can blow out. Why I would not put people on it? No way.
Yeah.
No. We'd figure that out real fast.
That's what I was seeing, EJ. Like
Yeah.
my propulsion system has a problem is a very broad statement, right?
Yeah.
And exactly what did they know about the exact
Okay, yeah,
problem?
I got
You
you.
know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
easy to say propulsion
Yeah.
system has a problem. I'd love to see the data, but I would just
Yep.
be hesitant to try to form an opinion on it because my opinion is not very informed. I don't have
Mhm.
access to that data to look at and be like, y'all knew that this is exactly what happened, and it was understood that that was having a problem, and then nobody did a test. Somebody just signed off on it or said it wouldn't happen. Like whatever. I don't have that level of detail, and it's hard to say. Like if I did it, I
Yep.
could sort of come up with what I think I would have done
Mhm.
to understand and categorize and classify and familiarize the problem. Right. I don't know what was done and what wasn't. So we rapidly get into the armchair quarterbacking, where it's like, well, we don't really have all the data, so it's really tough to say one way or the other. Wow, what the heck actually happened? You know.
Yeah.
In any event, need to continue pushing forward. I know that they have a consistent goal to have multiple systems. We don't want to have to go overseas to ask anybody else to launch our astronauts, right? And having more than one way to do that is not a terrible thing. But we'll have to see what comes of it when it comes home. Cards will be down on the table, coming blaring through the atmosphere. So
Imagine having to go overseas to launch your payloads or astronauts. That would be embarrassing for a space nation, right?
Sorry,
Yeah.
Adrian.
found the European on the call. Like,
Well, hey, it happened to us in 2011. Just saying.
yeah.
For
Why don't
9
you
years.
just write some laws that say that your payloads have to be launched from Europe, Adrian?
I'm not sure if that would work for us right now. We have like 12 rockets a year.
Oh.
Yikes! And even then, they don't launch from Europe; they launch from Central America, South America.
Technically,
Guiana.
France.
Technically, France. Nice. Geographically versus politically.
Yep.
Oh, jeez.
By the way, we've got a poll that's been going on.
What's the
Starliner
poll say?
Return right now in the lead by a long shot is it'll return with some issues but get back, and Major Issue and Totally Flawless are tied at 16%.
Interesting.
Oh dear.
Huh.
It's an
No
interesting bell
faith.
curve.
Yeah.
No
Very
faith,
strong
guys.
curve, yeah.
A 3-point bell curve. I like it. It's low, high, low.
Yep.
It'll be interesting. Like I said, at some point it's going to come back down. All of our pontificating and opinionating and posting on social media and everything for everybody who doesn't actually have the responsibility to make this decision. We'll see what happened. I mean, you never know. But I'm
Mhm.
glad we continue to take some reasonable amount of risks. At some point, you got to put your foot down and say that was a stupid risk. We're not doing it again on some things, and we'll see which way this one falls.
Yep.
Speaking of polls, I'm being told that we are ready for a certain announcement.
Oh no.
Here we
Oh,
go.
yes.
This is actually really cool.
Yes. We have new merch, and we are showing this apparently right away.
What?
Because okay, I will
What?
explain. I will have
so
to explain
confused.
this. So, do you like engines, chat? I heard some people like engines, and we have new merch that maybe represents some of the engines you like, including Raptor, Merlin, RS-25, and BE4. And this is a new design created by Pauline called the Trust Collection, which is now available at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. That has been in the works since quite a bit. And also, you can see, for example, EJ rocking the
Oh.
RS-25 right
Oh.
now. And I
yeah.
also have been wearing, the Raptor also. It was planned that maybe other people here would also wear shirts, but certain shipping companies didn't deliver in time.
No, I've got mine on, Adrian.
Oh?
I've totally got mine on. Look. Wait, Kevin, here, show me. Look,
Wow.
wait. Wait, look. I've got my merch on. Hang on.
Oh, no.
I just got a sticker. You shipped me a sticker and my shirt didn't get here, so I just put a sticker on my it's an Elite Dangerous shirt underneath. It's
All
just
right.
But is
That's
that
all-
another am I leaking something there because I have a sticker?
It's not ready yet, but it's coming, Das.
Well, you shipped them to me.
Yeah, maybe to assess the quality of something. But yeah, that's also common. But yeah, you can see the Thrust collection available on hoodies, shirts, mugs, sweatshirts, and also you can for each item select of if you want it in color or grayscale, or on the front or the back, because maybe you prefer that. That's options on all of these. And also, we will check in from time to time in the show and see what kind of designs you get, and then we can see what's the favorite engine of everybody. I think these numbers are right now based on. If we already have the numbers, that's the team.
What is
right
the
now-
music?
Yeah,
I feel like they're about to
very
reveal Atlantis in front of me or something.
There we go.
Oh.
That's the
Ooh,
team
and it
vote.
spins.
That's
Who animated this?
that's our team. Basically, our team got access early to this and was able to get it, and that's the numbers that our team so far got.
So let's explain. The numbers on the screen are the percentages of each design that have been purchased, and they'll update in near real time, not real time, but near real time, over the course of the show here. So if you're interested in, it's gonna fly away. If you're interested in the new merch, we will revisit the epic music there on occasion, and we will see how the polling is going with the different designs based on the number, the count that's bought by each, the percentages. Right? I get that right?
Yep. There we go.
Near real time. We'll check back in on that occasionally. Adrian, dude, you and the merch team, like you and Pauline specifically on this, it's so much work to get stuff like this done. Adrian's up like all hours of the night, like I only have to make 10 more designs, right? And massive thanks to y'all for all the work you put in to make these cool designs going. Available in the shop and ready for people to purchase, especially with all the options. Like I don't really like shirts that have the logo really big on the front. Like I almost want it to be like really big on the back, right? And a little logo on the front. And so Adrian made it work that way. But some people like the logo real big on the front. So Adrian made it work like that. Some people like color, some people like grayscale. And it's all the hard work of Adrian in the shop team. I say Adrian in the shop team. It's Adrian, basically, when it comes to putting it in the shop. So thanks, Adrian.
Thank you so much, and shout outs to Pauline again. Like,
Yes.
Pauline's designs, as always, rock. I mean, look at like that design rocks, and they have like cool taglines and
Yeah.
everything.
What's-
we were like looking at.
Is it going to play
Why
the
do we-
music every
why-
time we
why
check
do we-
in on it?
Oh God.
It didn't change. It's the same, Kevin.
It has not updated yet.
What's somebody to coordinate this better? What's the tagline on EJ's shirt say?
Shuttle Legacy, Artemis Destiny. Oh wow.
Shuttle Legacy, Artemis Destiny. I like that.
Shuttle Legacy. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
What was Raptor? Raptor was
Raptor is pushing the limits of physics.
Oh wait, we might have one. Hang on. EJ's gonna hold
He's
something
got
up. Look.
BE4, right? Is the other
I
one?
got
I don't know.
B4.
What does BE4 say?
It
E4 says
yes.
less pressure, more space, because they have talked about their less chamber pressure, but they are on 2 rockets.
It also sounds
Oh,
more like they have less
oh.
aspirational timelines than anybody else.
Dang.
We'll cover that more later in the show.
Yep.
Dang.
What I should probably do in the meantime, before all of the 20,000 merch messages come in, is thank some people who've shown their support here.
Do it.
I like
Do it.
one of them. Jeff maybe comments in chat, says Raptor tagline: "This shirt is outdated." Hey, Adrian, was that designed on Raptor 3 or Raptor 2?
That's Raptor 3, but I don't want to talk about the tagline of Merlin recently, because that design process
jeez.
started. Yeah,
Yeah.
So, thanks. I will a bit of a behind the scenes. We were planning to reveal this on this week, and then on the week where we want to reveal a design that says "Thrust you can
Thrust
trust,"
you can trust. No.
SpaceX has a landing failure. Thanks, SpaceX.
Well, hey, I mean, to be fair, we're going to talk about this, but maybe it's not the thrust that you couldn't trust, right? Maybe the thrust is quite trustworthy, and there are other things that are less trustworthy. So
Yeah.
We'll
I don't
talk
even
about
think
it.
that's fair. I honestly don't think that's fair to say. Other things that are less trustworthy. I think they learned something new. What are we talking about next, by the way?
Well, but
I was gonna say Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just
Sorry.
gonna go through the support queue really quick
Oh
here.
yes, do it.
Do it.
Yes. El Mary, thank you very much for the support. Super chat without a message, but still appreciated. Michael Oliver, thank you for becoming a Padrat member. John Flommerfeld, thank you for becoming a Padrat and then upgrading to Red Team member. I don't think they're showing on screen at the moment, but I'm still going to read through all of them.
Read it faster.
Telstar86, thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Michael
Oh, just
Zimmerman
kidding, you don't have
gifting
to.
20 Red Team memberships. Holy cow, thank you for the support there. Devin Waldron, thank you for
Slow
upgrading to
down.
Red Team. Sheriff Tracy, oh, the best Tracy, thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Bob Smith, the Thrust merch music makes me want everyone to have their own walk-on music. I'm thinking Michael Jackson for the Bulls, or MJ for the Bulls, not Michael.
I
Michael
just
Jordan.
want to say, Sawyer, chat may have already broken our overlay. I think that's why they're not loading.
That would do it. I mean, the first
Oh,
one
good grief.
was Nolan, so props to Nolan for getting their first message in of the first purchase of the new merch now that it's public.
Did they break the election results, Kevin?
I mean, no, because that's
it's too
actually
close to
manual.
call.
That the election result, at least this election result, requires that Adrian types it in manually.
I literally have a spreadsheet here, and as orders come in, I update the numbers. So, yay!
You know, okay, we need to move on with the rest of the news, but that was an interview question. I used to hire developers, programmers, database people, all this sort of stuff for a previous life that I lived. And one of the questions was always, oh, I've got, all of this data that exists in this old website that was just sort of hashed together like an intern would put it in. And over 10 years, we have all this data on the website. We need to move it into a company directory database, right? And so my question for the developers, because I was a solution architect, we were finding people to solve problems for people, right? And my question was that, like, how do I get this information from this website that's all a mess, no consistent format or anything, into a new database so that we can do it? And everybody would always be like, oh, well, I would write it, and then I would scrape this, and I would accept, and then I'd ask questions about exception handling. We talked through this whole thing. But the right answer to me was to just hire somebody to type it in again. Because you're only going to do it once. You don't need a program that's going to scrape this website forever, over and over again. You just need to do it once and migrate the data. And so sometimes it is more effective of a solution to just have somebody type it into a spreadsheet. You need a complicated code answer.
Look,
You're telling me to choose the right solution. Got it.
Yes, we chose the right solution here. We did not need 2 weeks of custom development to show that poll in real time.
So am I hired?
What? What do you mean?
No.
Am I missing something? Like, yes, you're hired. You're already hired. Anyways, sorry, side note there, but that is a story from another time.
All
What's
right.
next?
So no. Actually, I mean, you're next. The next thing
I'm
you're
next.
talking about. It's the next one. We got Falcon 9 news.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
saying,
we were
dude,
talking.
So keep going. Man.
We were talking about Starliner and everybody just loving to say that the astronauts were stranded in space, and now there's actually a little bit more truth to that because Falcon 9 isn't flying. SpaceX has stranded the 2 astronauts in space. Oh, that's a spicy one. So anyways,
People are gonna get mad at you for that.
You've seen it. I know, right? I should have put on like a helmet and like a true flame equipment before I said that out loud. Look, a little clearly hyperbole there, but you've seen the results. This is actually a replay from earlier today where the booster was coming back in on the drone ship for very small values of booster. Not a lot of booster left there on B1062 because it had an issue during landing. You saw that happen. Of course, we were streaming it live. If you saw the replay, you saw Jack was saying, "Oh, there it is, right in the center, bullseye," or whatever he said. And then we got the quintessential no. Should have got royalties for that, honestly. But we saw the booster fall over and explode on the deck of the drone ship. 260 plus, what is it, 267, I think, wasn't it? Successful landings of the Falcon 9 system, and then this happened. Now, there's a lot to talk about here, right? But one of the interesting things is we said, all right, hey, we've been talking with the FAA lately and getting information on Starship licensing and this sort of stuff. So Adrian actually reached out to the FAA and said, hey, Falcon 9 came down and had an anomaly during landing. What's the deal? And the FAA actually responded back and said they're going to require an investigation and they will return to flight after the investigation's satisfied, which happens in one of two different ways, right? And we can fill in some of that information. No, it wasn't all in the statement. Um, but now, as of right now, I'm not supposed to say grounded. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. Falcon 9 is not grounded, but in order to return to flight, Falcon 9 needs to either complete an investigation or complete an assessment that says that the public safety was not endangered at any time during this. And that has sort of like bang on impacts down the chain. The joke there, of course, being that Falcon 9 can't fly to go rescue the astronauts on the space station. Well, maybe there's a little bit more evidence that they're stranded there when previously they might not have been because Falcon 9 could save them. I'm joking about that. The other more immediate effect, as opposed to Crew 9 flying on Dragon or flying on Falcon 9 and Dragon, is Polaris Dawn. Remember, we had Polaris lined up on the launch pad. We got within the day of thinking that thing was going to fly with the crew aboard, high altitude, first private EVA, et cetera, right? That got delayed to a problem with a very small molecule in a plate somewhere. Heard that anywhere before.
Yep.
And now that they squeezed this Starlink in and they found this recovery problem on the Starlink mission, and that means that they had an unexpected loss of the vehicle because they're trying to land these things, airline-like operations, right? That has air quotes grounded, or they can't return to flight until they finish this investigation. So that's live right now. Is that live right now, Kevin? It says live. Yeah. So, anyways,
It's live.
Polaris Dawn Polaris Dawn is not launching right now, right? Interestingly, on social media, we saw Jared Isaacman, the commander and sponsor and benefactor of the entire mission, being very adamant that the long pole or the driving factor for Polaris's launch is the recovery weather. And it's super important here because recovery weather, they're not going to the ISS. They don't get to go up there and camp out in the tent for, I don't know, till 2025 and come back whenever. Polaris Dawn is going to go to their high altitude and needs to come back. It doesn't have a safe harbor like the ISS to hang out at for some indeterminate amount of time. So if you launch today, you need to make sure that your splashdown weather 5 days into the mission is still good to go. And that's why that's one of the reasons. That's what Jared is saying. The reason the thing that's sort of driving their launch schedule now isn't a problem with Falcon 9. Sounds to me like Jared has been in direct communication with SpaceX and knows what's going on there and is comfortable with the explanation for that landing failure, the recovery failure, right? But the weather, there are multiple tropical systems forming in the Atlantic right now, and those tropical systems are going to come over Florida in the next, week to 2 weeks. And when they do, you can't be landing your crew capsule in a hurricane or tropical storm or bad weather even. So Polaris Dawn, let's summarize it all. Polaris Dawn's delayed primarily due to weather, but also due to the investigation that's ongoing with SpaceX. That Falcon 9 Starlink that they sort of slipped in there in between the Polaris Dawns having the problem on landing. And then the FAA saying, hey, that was an unexpected loss of vehicle. Let's make sure everything's cool. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit. I want to jump over to the side here because I've been, again, keeping our comments, like keeping our finger on the pulse of what's going on. And we put out a video. Alex and Ryan did a fantastic bang up job. As soon as we saw that happen, Alex was putting together a script, getting together facts and assessment on what happened. And then Ryan knocked it out of the park, like solo one-man band, record the video, edit the video, and put it out. And we did that really quickly after it actually happened. So we sort of analyzed some of that stuff, right? But the question here is, how quickly can SpaceX return to flight? And to answer what you're probably saying in chat, why can the FAA ground a booster for a recovery problem? It's a recovery only problem, right? So look, it's Ryan. Check it out. Oh, Adrian was involved as well. You can remind me, Adrian. Geez. Adrian did a good job too. Just say it out loud, dude.
I was not gonna throw you under the bus here in the live show.
That's fine. No, it's fine to correct me. Like Adrian worked on that video too. Um,
I
apparently-
worked on it too. In
What?
spirit.
in
No,
spirit.
no, I didn't work on it at all. Sorry, guys.
So let's talk about the return to flight. Um, we've gotten a little bit of information. You might have seen Chris post about it on X. That it sounds like multiple sources are making this seem like it's a pretty well understood thing, and they hope that they can return to flight pretty quickly. Right? That's one thing. Okay. Why does the FAA care? This is the thing that I've seen. Even really intelligent people. I've seen a lot of people really missing this. Right? Um, Falcon 9 didn't endanger the public here because it was downrange, the drone ship landing, right? Middle of the ocean, huge exclusion zone, things not flying over Disney World or anything like that. And so the public was not in danger. Good. That's fantastic. It's great that we do the drone ship landings, right? But the Falcon 9 system also RTLSs. It turns around and it flies back towards land. It turns around and it literally flies back towards Disneyland. To continue the joke a little bit, it should never reach Disneyland, but Cocoa Beach is right there. So if something happened with this landing, the recovery, and it caused the booster to be destroyed shortly after landing because the landing was too hard, watch the video if you want the full analysis, right? um, you got to understand exactly what went wrong. And you have to make absolute sure that whatever that recovery problem is that caused the booster to impact the deck at a faster velocity than it should have, which snapped a leg, which made it fall over and burn down, sink over, and fall into the swamp or whatever, right? You have to make sure that whatever caused the booster to hit the deck faster than it should have is not going to make the booster lose control and miss the LZ if it's RTLSing, or lose control and veer off course and hit some other part of the Space Force base, or Cocoa Beach or something like that, right? I think it's super unlikely that any of those things would happen. But until you know exactly what happened and you say, yes, this is what happened in this failure, it is only going to happen here right above the launch pad, and therefore it won't affect RTLS or anything else, and public safety will continue to not be uh, compromised in any way, then you really need to take a pause and make sure you've done it. I've talked enough about this. I will continue to talk about this, but let's bring the panel in and see what some other folks here think about the landing failure. I'm just going to go left or right. DJ, we're over here. What do you think about all this? Like,
Oh.
should it be air quotes grounded? Is this like a total, like, what the heck? What a waste of time. What do you think?
I don't think it's a waste of time. And the reason why I don't think it's a waste of time is because, look, that thing, 1062 hard landed on the drone ship. All right. And keep in mind, this is just my opinion. I'm just saying, I'm just calling it with what I saw. It obviously came down too hard, hit the deck of the ship and snapped the leg and then tipped over. Right. Now, why? Why did it do that? So something's wrong with your landing burn. What is kind of there's this thing that's at the bottom of the rocket that's kind of useful for making sure you don't smash into the drone ship, you know? The rocket engine, right? Don't we have a shirt for that? And no, anyway,
You got to
so-
do this, DJ. You got to pick your shirt up when you say
Oh
rocket
yeah,
engine.
but it's
The
the
rocket
rocket
engine, there you go,
engine,
thanks.
man.
Not that
Intense.
one.
Right. Anyway. So, look, something went weird with the landing burn. If something's, if there's a funny with your propulsion at this point, you probably should take your time and figure out what's going on there, right? Like, you just, I mean, I think if there's something wrong with the engines, I think the FAA is more than justified in doing a mishap investigation, right? Because this isn't just the thing coming down nice and soft, shutting the engines off, and then the leg snaps, right?
The leg was old and fell over. Like,
Yeah, it's not that. It's clearly not that. This thing slammed down hard, and the engines are belching fire out even before the landing legs are touching the ground.
yep.
Something's weird with those motors. Now, once again,
Or something. Something's weird with the burn. Like, folks,
Yep.
watch the video because they did a fantastic job analyzing it. And we compared previous launches and previous landings, right? The touchdown velocity, what the telemetry on screen said when the rocket touched down. And we sort of showed that this touchdown was significantly harder. It was moving significantly faster than previous nominal touchdowns. And that's the
Mhm.
kicker.
yeah,
It hit the deck hard, the leg snapped and it fell over. We don't really care that the leg snapped and it fell over. We care why did it hit the deck harder than it should have? It didn't
Well,
slow down enough.
okay. I already see people in chat. Oh, there's nothing wrong with the engines. How do you know? After 23 flights, how do you know?
I think SpaceX knows. I think SpaceX knows whether this was an engine thing or a
Well,
guidance
that's
thing, or
fine. You got to prove it.
I bet you SpaceX knows, and so the question becomes exactly, EJ, prove it. Like, hey,
Hmm.
just put the documentation together so everybody understands what's going on, and
Yep.
let's go into the. There's, I see chat got it in one about the RTLS. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's go on to Adrian and see, Adrian, what do you think about this, dude?
First, I want to quickly mention something because I saw some people being confused about why didn't this happen on previous launches, previous landing failures. And I want to
Mm-hmm.
go back to the landing failure of February 2021. That was the last landing failure Falcon 9 had. And after that, on March 2021, the new
Mm-hmm.
regulations of the FAA, in cooperation written with SpaceX, ULA, common launch providers, they basically helped to create this whole new manifest of how to make a launch license. These came up 1 month after that, and that changed the definition of a mishap investigation that previously gave the FAA a bit of wiggle room what a mishap is. The new one specifically have one criteria that says permanent loss of vehicle. That's like one criteria in there. It says literally like permanent, like unplanned permanent loss of
Unplanned.
vehicle. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
unplanned.
unplanned is the kicker
Yeah.
because everybody's, oh, her. What about art? What about expendable rockets? Well, expendable rockets, A, don't RTLS, and B, are a planned loss of vehicle.
Yes, and this was
Sorry, Adrian.
unplanned. So it's totally based on the new definition. Like when you look at the mishap investigation definition, it's like, yeah, of course, that's hitting the definition of what is a mishap.
Yep.
My overall take on this is I'm kind of like I kind of expected this to go this way the moment it happened. Like we talk a lot about the FAA because that's a thing we have talked about the past a lot. At the moment it happened, it was like if you know the new regulations, it's pretty likely the FAA wants an investigation.
Yeah.
However, I also think this will be a very fast return to flight because, based on everything we know, and based also on some SpaceX engineers going on X and talking about it, it seems SpaceX is kind of closing in on a root cause or understanding this
Yeah.
in this way.
I bet they already know.
Yeah,
I bet SpaceX already knows.
I can totally tell you, like I'm having my Gmail open here. Like I could see there's a Starlink in theory in I think about 8 hours, and that currently is scheduled still. So I'm totally having my Gmail here open because I expect like a safety determination from the FAA to come in any minute at some point.
Yeah.
That could happen. That's I mean, it could take a few more days, but I don't think it will take 3 weeks to
Yeah.
Falcon 9 to
And
fly again.
remember, y'all, the safety determination is one of the two outcomes. One is the investigation gets completed, and that's like the longer process. But the other alternative for return to flight is the determination that the public safety was not endangered, and that's when y'all said in chat, "Oh, well, then restrict RTLS until the investigation is done," or something like that. I think that's bang on. I think that SpaceX could go back and say, "Hey, you know something? Here's what we think it was. We're going to do the entire investigation. Of course, we want to make sure we understand exactly what this is. In the meantime, as long as we're flying these things out to barges, there's no way that the public safety is endangered. So we're going to keep flying and do the barge landings and just not do any RTLSs until the investigation is complete or we're further along or whatever." Sawyer, we got to get Sawyer in here too. Where's Sawyer at?
I'm here.
Okay.
Here's my thought, and this is something else that I wanted to bring up, is the fact that you were talking, Adrian, about the revision to the launch license and talks about the whole loss of vehicle. Important note that it also says during flight operations. So I've seen people say, well, B-1058,
Yep.
that toppled over and there was no investigation for that. Well, that's because it encountered rough seas. It had landed successfully. At this
Yeah.
point, you were mentioning the engines were still kind of shooting up flames just before it touched down. So the fact that this happened during flight operations also made this a reason that they couldn't classify it as a recovery failure. So
Yeah.
it's one of those where I see people in chat saying, yeah, then the corrective action is just to not land boosters. SpaceX, I don't think would ever
No,
revert
that's
to
not their
that.
business model. Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna
The
wait.
SpaceX is good.
I was just gonna say they're gonna wait it out for them. It would be more of a loss to expend the booster than to not launch for 3 to 5 days.
Yeah. Exactly. it really is something like I see people who love to like punch on social media. This is a recurring theme, right? Um, I think that it's completely fair that they're requiring an investigation, but the investigation doesn't have to be complete. They just need a report on, hey, that wasn't what you planned on have happening. That was an unexpected loss of vehicle. Just show us real quick that you can continue flying while you investigate this, and make sure we document how the public safety is protected. And it's just super simple answer then, right? The booster's flying downrange. It's on the drone ship. There's a huge exclusion zone around the drone ship. It's not coming back to land. It's not coming back towards populated areas. There are no boats in the area. Like all of these different mitigating factors. All you do is you put those down in some bullet points and you say, hey, here's the analysis. We're continuing the investigation, but we are cool to keep flying because this is understood and this is how public safety is really well mitigated. Like it's just a documentation sort of thing, making sure that it's all on the up and up, right? Can I mention or ask chat? I guess I want to ask chat.
Yeah.
What is the difference? I saw SpaceX folks saying, "Oh, recovery problem," right? Like they were reusing this recovery system problem language. Um, what's the difference when it comes to SpaceX? Because this is new. This is like a completely new thing. Rockets don't land unless, well, you want to count shuttle, and then we get into the argument about the capsule of the vehicle versus the boosters, whatever. Right? Let's not go there right now. Um, SpaceX
Shuttle?
loves it. Shuttle? Yeah. SpaceX
Huh?
loves to talk, and everybody loves to talk about these airline like operations, right? Oh, rapid recovery. We land it, we reuse it, airline like operations, right? I'm not calling a plane crash a recovery failure, right? Like, that's not a thing, y'all. If somebody was crashing, I'm going to say Airbuses into the ocean, just to avoid that whole topic.
Yep. Good
Um,
call. Good
if
call.
somebody is crashing Airbuses, uncrewed Airbuses into the ocean, and that's not a thing that's supposed to happen, how is that a problem for y'all, or what? Because I think the big thing here is these rockets do RTLS. We allow them to turn around and come back towards civilization, and so they have a higher standard to meet than any expendable rocket that will never ever do that. We got to talk about FTS activation as well, though. What do y'all think, chat? I've just
Hmm.
been reading through chat.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, dude,
I mean,
if you want me to chime in, like,
yeah, of course.
I was talking with somebody in chat about this while you guys were giving your feedback a second ago. The FAA is, you got to remember, what we treat the FAA like they're this all-encompassing entity about, they're aware that, we are aware of this, we're aware of this, we're grounding this, Starship that, Falcon 9. They're they're learning about kind of the framework for commercial space flight, what these airliner like operations that you're talking about, Das, they're learning about this as they go. They don't have a book of they don't have a book about this. Nobody does. So because no one's ever done this before, right?
Yep.
So you gotta keep in mind that they're probably doing it to take an opportunity to learn. Like keep that in the back of your mind. You know, and I'd said like, I mean, people don't like this, but like, we get all these delays in between, Starship launches because of, this and that, right? The reality is like the FAA, if you start barking up the FAA's tree, they're they're trying to use the development of Starbase as a framework for how they certify commercial spaceports in the future. I guarantee you, commercial spaceport certification in the future is not going to take as long as this. But Starship, I would contend to say, is a great test for that.
Yeah.
Now, how does that? Okay, so what does that have to do with Falcon 9 and stuff? Well, Falcon 9 is a great test for operations, the operations side of things, right? Starship is for like a commercial spaceport, but Falcon 9, the operations, it's already got a spaceport. We're already good to go, right? We're already there. So doing a mishap out of an abundance of caution, just so you can take an opportunity to learn, so the FAA can get their feet wet with how this whole space flight thing works, I think is a pretty wise decision. That's hedging your bets down the road.
Yeah. I think, I'm going to address something in chat here. T. Brookie says that DOS is all FUD, all right? Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Like I'm trying to make people doubt Falcon 9 or doubt SpaceX or anything like that.
No way.
Let me explain my thinking, right? I think that could be fair if I hadn't thought this through. But we've already talked about the booster hitting the deck faster than expected, right? What
Yeah.
reasons might a booster hit the deck faster than expected? Thrust underperformance on the engine, and it sounds like that's not the case, right? I don't know, but we'll see. It sounds like it's not a thrust underperformance, but you turn on the engine, you command it to give you this much thrust. It doesn't quite give you that much. So you don't slow down enough, you hit the deck a little hard. That's one option. I don't know if that's realistic. I don't know that's what's going on here, right? Another option, your rocket is confused. Remember, rocket knows where it is because it knows where it isn't. If it ever doesn't know where it isn't, it might not know where it is. And in order to turn on the engines at the right time and actually create the correct amount of thrust to just touch down just at the right speed, it's possible that the rocket was confused as to where it was. Now, there are lots of different things with that. There's your XY coordinates, the GPS coordinates, where you are. Are you over the drone ship? Are you over Disney World or whatever, right? Then you have your vertical component of that, your altitude sensors and that sort of thing. How high am I away from the ground? Um, but in this case, if the rocket was confused as to where it was and it didn't start that engine, the engine may have performed perfectly fine. It just didn't light soon enough. And so it didn't have enough time to slow down and it hit the deck harder just because it started too late, right? And I do think that those are your two big possibilities here, right? Either a sensor or navigation issue where the rocket just lit the engine too late, or an engine issue where it didn't create enough thrust, right? Okay, cool. Let's mitigate that whole discussion. Not a big deal because it didn't happen until the landing burn, right? So if it didn't create enough thrust during the landing burn, it hits the deck too hard, falls down, burns over, sinks into the swamp. Okay, whatever. If it was confused as to how high it was or where it was, and it did, that's really what gets me where it was. If the rocket doesn't know where it is, that's a problem. Um, it's still out there in the ocean, and that's mitigated. But it happened on the landing burn. And it was really close to the ground, so that the problem didn't diverge really very much. Remember the deviation, right? Um,
And its variation,
and the
which is called
variation.
air.
Thank you, EJ. But think about this. You have to understand what the problem was. And the rocket being confused as to where it is a bigger problem for me than a thrust underrun on the engine, right? Like the rocket also does a boost back burn. What happens when the rocket is slightly confused during the boost back burn? Does it end up on a different trajectory than it would have been normally? Does it end up further off the coast or further inland because of something that happened during the boost back burn? I understand that here we were super mitigated because it was the landing burn when it was so close to the ground. And all SpaceX needs to do is say, yeah, hey, here's what that was. It's only going to happen when it's less than a kilometer from the ground. The possible deviations, if the problem occurs at that altitude, is this much. Those deviations are still well within the exclusion zone. So, still, public safety is absolutely protected. And they can't come back and say, oh, geez, we don't know when that might occur, but if that occurred up here, it could deviate like this and it could land on another port of the Space Force station or it could land near the jetties or something like that, right? That's just, I think, the burden of proof that they have to go through in order to say, hey, here's what it was. Public safety wasn't impacted, it wasn't endangered. It won't happen above this altitude, this sort of thing, that sort of thing, whatever, right? And so public safety will continue to be protected and we can continue to fly. Like, I don't think that that's fear or uncertainty or doubt, any of those things. I think that it's like an engineering analysis based on what the possibilities could be. And it's really easy for SpaceX to come back and say, here's the data, here's how we're protecting public safety. I think we can get back to flying. Am I crazy on that? Anybody else think I'm crazy? I'm scrolling down
Um,
chat now.
I agree with you about SpaceX showing their findings and stuff, dude. But I'd say you're much more likely. It's much more likely to be some kind of hardware problem here than rather than an avionics problem, right? Falcon 9 has done many landings, but then again, the avionics is easier to change.
You mean like hardware, like a sensor or something like that, versus
Yeah,
avionics is the software component. You're talking like a bad
yeah.
sensor, not bad software
I mean,
algorithm.
yeah, exactly. Either way,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do agree. I do agree with what you're saying. Hardware, software, but I'm just turning it over while you were saying that. I'm like, you know, you're you're not gonna Merlin engines are super reliable, right? They're
It
super
says it on
reliable.
the shirt.
Yeah, it's super. Yeah, it says it on the shirt,
Trust you can trust.
right? There you go.
Yeah.
They're super reliable. It'd be unlikely to be like a design flaw or something. It's definitely not a design flaw, And we know that SpaceX, adjusts their trajectories with Falcon 9 here and there, so it could be a trajectory change.
Yep.
But you know, this thing, why would the trajectory change comparatively to like a relatively recent Starship or Starships? Too many stars. Starlink mission, right? This, I mean, obviously the leg snap, but this seems like it might be hardware due to the engines being, a little bit on the older side. You guys got to remember, just because it's flown, like the center engine, for instance, just because it's flown 22 times prior doesn't mean that engine hasn't been put to the ringer because it does 3 firings per flight, right? You have one up, you have an entry burn and down, right? And then the landing burn. So that's 66 firings in flight with that thing. On top of all the testing that it's done on top of that, like, before, acceptance testing. So, I mean, that engine on that booster was beat to snot. I mean, if it is the original motor. I would say as we get higher in the flights with these Falcon 9s, right, you're going to run into the material limits of some of these parts.
Yeah, I was about to ask,
I
do we know if they're new engines or if they're the same ones
Yeah.
that have flown 22 times? Because there's a good chance that some of those
Yep.
were probably swapped
We-
out. So
We know
Yeah,
they
we don't-
swap them around. Even the legs. I don't even know
Yeah.
that the
Yep.
legs all stay one to the other, but we know that engines can be swapped out and stuff like that. And we don't have that specific data on, oh, yeah, that had an engine that had flown on 10 other flights or whatever. That's just not available. I appreciate y'all chat. Like, chat is sort of discussing this and coming up with ideas and stuff. The reason for talking through it isn't to try and minimize anything. It's information. It's stuff to think about,
And-
right?
Yep.
And that's exactly the discussion that Alex, Ryan, and I had
Mhm.
when we made this video. Because the more you look at it and the more you look at the data, the more you get into a situation where you're like, well, it could be this, or this. And then you go through it. Because the first thing we found was exactly this, well, telemetry thing. We
Yep.
found it was a hard landing because I feel like it was not that obvious that it was a super rough landing. But then when you look at the numbers, it's 10 versus 30 kilometers an hour. So it's
Yep.
about 3 times as fast, and I think the math comes out as about 9 times
Nine
the
times
energy.
the energy. Nine
Yeah.
times?
9 times.
it was a throwback.
Hey,
Jeez.
I see some people in chat not like agreeing with this, but I think y'all haven't seen, like, if you want to see the data, go watch the video we did because we took multiple previous flights. Did we put them side by side in the video? I'm pretty sure we put them side by side. Or we looked
Yeah.
at the telemetry over and over again to compare. Go ahead.
So what happens is, because first we thought it was 10 versus 3, but then you
Yep.
get to the situation that you notice that the Falcon 9, there is an initial touchdown moment, which is at 10
Yep.
versus 30, and then it kind of glides or like bounces a
Link there?
bit and goes up and down again. So that's why there's like multiple moments where the telemetry makes weird bounces.
Yep.
But we came out about this verse roughly 10 to 30, and again, you can also see visually. If you look at this launch just visually, look, use your good old eyeballs.
There you go.
Then you will witness and see it's going down a bit fast.
Yeah, it's in chat. Look, this might be part of it here, but there is the video linked over and over again in chat. And the reason we're saying this is because we went back and looked at this. This isn't like a touchy-feely, oh, we feel like this is it. But we looked at actual numbers from previous landings and compared them all together and analyzed that in the video. There's Ryan right there talking about it. So I highly encourage anybody who is doubtful that this landing was any harder than any other landing to go and watch the video and look at the data that we present and see if you agree for yourself. Maybe you don't agree, and that's fine. It's
Yeah.
physics. It doesn't care if you agree or not. It is what it is. But
And we
Yeah, baby.
we also explore why. Like if I saw some people be like, oh, maybe it was a high wave. Unlikely.
yep,
It's-
we
it's
talked
about
about that.
to
We got
say.
buoy data from the
Yeah.
sea state nearby, like during the landings. Like Gav was in there getting buoy data. Buoy, whatever.
Well, that answers I'd
for
rather be
us.
flying an X-Wing super chat than asking about the drone ship height.
I think I have breaking news.
Oh, what's the breaking news?
It's from the FAA. Somebody get Bandicam ready because you might want to clip this for the Axis. I will read. The SpaceX Falcon 9 vehicle may return to flight operations while the overall investigation of the anomaly during the Starlink Group 8-6 mission remains open, provided all other license requirements are met. SpaceX made the return to flight request on August 29, and the FAA gave approval on August 30. So, that is directly from the FAA, fresh out of the press. Falcon 9 just got the allowance to return to flight again.
Hooray!
Well-
The astronauts aren't stranded anymore.
I was wrong
do
about
it-
the engines, boys.
I need to do a tweet quickly.
Do your tweet. Yeah, look.
Yep.
Here you go.
Well, I was wrong about the engines. I'll take the L here. That's fine. I've never been happier to do that. Jeez.
Also, it's now safe to
Well-
go back to Disney World because it seemed like DOS kept wanting to throw Falcon 9 boosters on it.
It's
Yeah,
safe to go
wait.
back to Disney World now.
Wait a minute. What if it falls into the swamp, though?
Well, just stay out of swamps.
They said you couldn't land a booster in a swamp, but I did it anyway.
But I did it anyways. Folks, there you have it. SpaceX knew. They provided information to the FAA. Apparently, they provided the information and requested a return to flight yesterday. And today, this is unprecedented, the FAA has said that they're clear to return to flight while they continue the investigation, just like we said the most likely outcome was.
That would rule out any major systems, guys. I think that's a fair thing to say now. It's definitely not something that has to do with like propulsion or anything. This is some other freak occurrence or something.
Yep.
Definitely doesn't have anything to do with avionics. That rules out avionics. That rules out propulsion. It's something else.
Yep.
But yeah, good. That's great. I've never been happier to be wrong. I'll be 100% real with you.
Welcome back.
Welcome
Have
back.
we tweeted and everything? Have we done the tweets?
Yes.
Tweet's already out.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Over and sang into the swap. Realistically, y'all, understand that this is SpaceX's business. This is what they freaking do. They understand the rockets in and out, and they have to balance aspirational timelines and pushing things forward and ahead with continuing their business and continuing to fly these things. And they know what's going on. They're not out there. I don't know. Just launch it. I don't know. It's a Falcon. Like now, 267 landings. It's not like they don't have enough data on what happens during a landing. So, anyways, the system worked. I like it. Sarah Jones in chat says the system works.
I will mute my phone.
Yep. Wait, why are you going to mute your phone?
The pings.
Ding, ding, ding,
Oh.
ding.
Oh, nice.
Wait. Hold up. I gotta
I-
go give you a like.
Look, David Murray, we all give the FAA a hard time. Let's give them props for clearing this so fast this time. Can we give them a little bit of props, or do we still want to hate on the FAA for their antiquated, archaic things? Like literally, the regulations were updated just a couple years ago to support this sort of cadence, this new world that we live in, and here it is in action.
We can give them RP1 unlocks, but not Methalocks.
I also have to say,
Jeez.
as a person like we all come here from media, right? We are communicating with the FAA as a media organization, and the FAA is really good communicating with us. Like they are, like when you ask them a question, when you ask the understandings, you get answers really quickly, and
They really do.
The other day we asked them about the wording clarification, and they took the time to like, hey, use this wording. Like they really try to give you the tools you need as a media organization to understand this and to communicate this. And I want to give props for that, because that's not something everybody does.
And sometimes, usually when the FAA tells us they can't tell us something, it's because it's proprietary information. They're like, hey, you're going to need to ask FAA that, or sorry, you're going to need to ask SpaceX that. That's not ours to release, basically, right? So anytime that there's a little frustration there, it's like, hey, you got to ask SpaceX that question. It's not right for us to answer that question. And well, we ask SpaceX and don't often hear back.
Guys, you know, I had a very experienced commercial airline pilot tell me this. Look, I mean, the context of this conversation wasn't about Falcon 9. It was about other airliners. Yes, you can guess which one. I had a question, all right? I had a question I need to ask. It was a long time ago. Well, the guy told me this. He basically said, look, the FAA is not your enemy, but they're not your friend either. They're there to make sure that the industry is safer and understand the behavior and go from there. So, I mean, in this particular case, like, I mean, yeah, you give them props. You give them props because the data drove your results here, Das, right? Like, that's why we're giving them props, because the data drove the results and they made the right. Well, we'll see if they made the right decision.
And the design of the system and the way that the system operates as well, right? I imagine it may have been different if every Falcon 9 was RTLS. But Falcon 9's flexible. They can land downrange on the drone ship. They get more energy out of it because you go ballistic on the trajectory and you land on the drone ship, right? Because of the way that they've architected this whole system that helps us send stuff into space, we've got flexibility. We've got options like this. And here we are, in the back channel saying we should wait for SpaceX to say when the next launch is going to be. What do we have on the schedule, Adrian? Is there something like tentatively on the schedule tonight or tomorrow?
Yes, tonight. Tonight in about 7 hours from now. We already have like we already pinged some people to be ready for that, but it could be that we stream the Starlink Group 8-10 mission in about 7 hours from now. So NSF is back.
Hey, the
Which would be
other
the
thing,
second flight, because there's also one scheduled for 12:54 a.m. Eastern
oh
out of
my
Vandenberg.
gosh,
The 9-5.
folks,
Yep.
I know not everybody's in the States, but it's Labor Day weekend too. Like, it is the Friday before Labor Day weekend. And instead of packing up at noon and going home, the FAA is here like, oh, well, we're not just going to wait till next week. Like, they put this out at 6:30 Central or 6:30 Eastern time on Friday before the long holiday weekend because they're not going to be working Monday, right? And here we are instead of, oh, just get to it next week. Like, let's get back to flying rockets.
We are
Like
so back.
that motion. Like, what are you
We
going
are
to do?
we are so
Insert-
back, chat.
Insert the graph. Like honestly, the last few months were like this. The we are so back graph with Falcon 9.
Yep.
It's over.
Oh, I was gonna say,
Yo,
look at this graph.
well, no, look at this super chats, by the way. Jerwa
Yeah.
with $50, the Return to Flight Party Fund. Nice, Jerwa. Appreciate you. And the Telestar did a couple curly L's. Okay, FAA, now Starship launch license, please. The real kicker is, does this anomaly investigation have any commonality with the return to launch site for the booster, the super heavy booster? SpaceX knows. We'll know hopefully sooner rather than later. Bob Smith did $5. Why does the FAA like Adrian so much? Fruit baskets at Christmas? I don't think I haven't seen that come through the expense reimbursement. Like we're not sending anybody fruit baskets.
Nope.
Gotta play hardball.
Honestly, I think the honest answer is just A, we asked. That's the first
We
thing.
ask. We're
and
nice about it too.
B, we don't try to mischaracterize, try to like show them in a bad light to make SpaceX look better. We just report the facts, and I think that's part of it. Like just report what it is.
I can say I talked with the FAA for an hour the other day. We're making another video.
Adrian, we all know you just recorded yourself saying squirrel and sent it to them, so now they're giving you everything.
What?
I will not.
I don't think I get that one.
Germans can't say that word. That's the joke.
Anyways,
It's even in the Adrian command.
I
Or the
don't
squirrel
get
command.
it. But I talked with the FAA for an hour the other day about how they license rocket launches and what's the difference between launching or licensing a capsule versus a rocket and the entire system. And they sat down, they let us record it for an hour. We just asked questions about licensing rockets so that we could make a cool video for you and not just be making things up with fancy feelings the way we feel about how they should do it. We got some actual answers from them. So, anyways, there's $100 that came in here too. Let me scroll and find it.
From Bideford.
Bideford.
Fight for it.
It's
Look,
up on
so
screen.
Somebody read it. I'll read it. Bideford with $100 super chat saying, just for all of us at the Flame Trench, thank you, Adrian, for the great news. And now I can watch a lunch tonight. Maybe. We'll see if SpaceX confirms it. And hurry up, our sweet Sawyer, get better.
Oh,
There you
thank you,
go, Sawyer.
Bideford.
Yeah. I figured I should read that one since it was talking about you, Sawyer.
Yeah, for those who don't know, by the way, I am recovering from surgery and laying flat most of the day. That's why it's a picture of me instead of my usual face for radio.
Yeah. It sounds great until you actually have to lie flat for 23 hours straight. It's like, oh, I'd love to be in bed that long. No, you really wouldn't. Glad
Yeah.
you're doing better, Sawyer.
Hey,
Glad we're showing this full screen now.
and of course,
Yeah.
I chose that picture because I knew who was going to be on stream today, including EJ and us
Oh my gosh, baby
That's
DOS and
funny.
baby EJ.
from
Yeah.
2015. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I also want to quickly thank Snot Garden as well for the $20 super chat, saying thanks for the all-star coverage. And then Jerwa also gifted 10 Red Team memberships through all this, by the way, too, in addition to the support. And Brett S. saying, keep calm and starry on.
Starry on, nice.
Fun token awarded.
So we will continue
Ting.
to listen in and see what comes of this investigation, but we're not going to have to be jonesing for rocket launches in the meantime because SpaceX can return to flight and the public safety and what does it say? All of the requirements for their licensing will be fulfilled while they continue that investigation as to what went wrong. I think it'll be very curious to see why Falcon 9 hit the deck harder and caused that landing leg to fail. I don't believe it was just the landing leg getting old. I believe it hit the deck too hard, and we'll see what happens because they're going to continue investigating, and we'll continue watching rocket launches.
We could have not I quickly like meta talk about the situation. We could have not timed this segment better. Like it's
Right.
not only the stream; it's the segment where we talk about
Segment
Falcon
where we talked
9.
about it.
I Like, we didn't know. I 100% promise you we had no idea that this would drop, but it lined up perfectly. So yeah, thanks FAA for apparently scheduling that at the perfect time.
I would say God
What
had
if the
something to do with
FAA
it,
is?
but Kevin didn't open his mouth.
Oh, I was gonna say, what if the FAA is watching us right now?
They
I
knew.
think they have better things to do,
I
honestly.
mean, you never know.
Their flame trench
Could
senses
watch-
were tingling.
Their flame
Yeah.
trench sense. What's next? Are we supposed to
All
move
right.
the show along?
Yeah, it's kind of my job
What
over
about
here,
the
but
percentage,
hey,
by the way? What's the percentage? at?
Oh,
Oh no,
Oh, we have percentage movement. I think.
go to the polls.
That's
That's not the
That's-
polls.
Hello.
You
That's
just wiped
Adrian.
to Adrian.
No, that's the
Hello.
Germans, not the Poles.
Sawyer, really? Well, there's music. Survey says
Actual
We have
retail
fif-
price.
We have 50% Raptor. Yeah, that's a BE4 and RS25 tied last right now. Between that is Merlin and Raptor right now. Over 50% of the new shirts of the new collection. So, or like the new product, actually, I should say, because there's also Max in there. But yeah, that's the current voting of the crowd here. Raptor comfortable in the lead.
Come on, Team
I thought-
RS25.
Yeah, so I was gonna say I thought people would want the engine that's into orbit and back. Jeez, I thought people would want the engine that's been reused. Just saying.
You have to say, Raptor is a pretty slick design. Like, it's.
Oh no, it's amazing. I'm just being a jerk.
Yeah. You cannot pick one wrong with these. Imagine you, for example, can I do a segue?
sure.
Dude,
Please.
tee it up.
Imagine, for example, you have a B4 shirt. That would be amazing because it flies. Is about to fly in a few weeks. I heard.
It is about to
Smooth
fly.
as butter.
That's right. That's good. That's good. It is about to fly. I think this is my cue, huh? Right?
Yep.
So, guys, we have Blue Origin posted a picture of the Glen Stage 1 or GS1, so New Glen First Stage, sitting inside of their factory at the Cape with the engine section attached. I mean, no engines in it yet, but that's going to be happening very soon. That's in line for the Escapade mission that's going to, I think the window opens on October 14th, if I'm remembering correctly.
It's a short window because they're going out there like it's not a launch
Yeah.
anytime. It's a pretty short window for this one.
Yeah, it goes, I'm checking now. I did check the document. It's 13th through the 21st.
Yes.
I'll say, man, we've been following this. I've been following this for a long time. That's not a lot of time to put those engines in there. I've said that Blue is doing parallel development, right? So they can do a bunch of different things at once, but I mean, I can't see you getting very far without 7 engines inside of that thing. But also, I mean, I don't know if you guys can see, like, if you look down there, the 2 dudes that are sitting at the bottom of this thing, this is not a small piece of equipment. If Tim's video didn't drive it home, that picture drives it home pretty good, man. Yep, I had to catch myself on that one. Pretty good. There's 2 dudes just sitting down at the bottom. This thing is gigantic. It's a freaking huge booster.
Yep.
It's absolutely insane. I mean, in that, we'd seen pictures of the engine section and the inner stage. They call it the forward and the aft modules. That's Blue's nomenclature there. But this is the first time we kind of see it all coming together. That's it. 7-meter core diameter. That thing is basically as tall. What do you think? What do we think, Adrian? How tall do we know how tall that stage is? It's got to be 50 meters, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think it's even
gigantic.
taller, actually.
Oh my goodness.
It's I mean, in terms of diameter, it's always when people are comparing this to Falcon 9, right? Because people are like, oh, it's like a Falcon 9. No, it's not. It's like almost the diameter of basically a Falcon Heavy. Falcon Heavy is like 9-ish, and this is 7. So this is very close to the diameter of Falcon Heavy, and Falcon Heavy is like not fully fleshed out. It's 3 cores next to each other. The first stage is 57 meters.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and the second stage is another 16.1. So with fairing and everything, this rocket is 98 meters tall.
What a monster. That's not a small vehicle.
It's an absolute beast. And I agree with the fact that this is like this feels
It's
as a
a
very
little
tight
steep.
schedule. Like
It's a little
we are
steep.
talking about 6 weeks now to. I mean, we don't know fully what's the status of the rocket right now is and how much is integrated, but we are talking about 6 weeks to integrate probably the engines, get that core out there, static fire it, get it back, integrate it with second stage, and launch. Like
That's a lot of stuff.
Did you say
That's a
test? Did you have all the
Not a
testing in
lot
there
of
too,
time.
Adrian?
yeah, it's at least from the last update we had, it's a first stage and a second stage test. So that pad, if they're gonna do this, that pad's gonna be busy the next few weeks. They need to
Yes.
get to this very
Right.
fast, and it's not like they
Oh,
can
yeah.
just say we try again in 6 months. Escapade
Yeah, right.
is an interplanetary mission. It has a window, and
Yep.
if they miss it, eh, it's gonna be a
Wait.
bit.
I don't know off the
Yeah,
top of my
that's
head. When's the next window? Like, how long do they have to
20
wait?
It would be
Adrian?
2 years,
26
right? 'Cause
months.
it's the
Anybody?
Mars transfer
20
window.
Yeah, it's Mars.
26 months.
But it's 26 months, isn't it?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
98 meters is about 300 feet in lunar units.
Lunar units.
Yeah, because
Yeah, the
the
unit
only
of measurement that they use to land on the moon.
yeah
Sawyer
the
knows.
only country that landed on the moon used those measurements.
Doesn't
Yeah,
NASA
lunar
use
units.
meters?
Just let us have this one, okay?
Oh my
I know.
gosh.
Just let us have this one. I know the measuring system makes no sense. Just let us have this one, okay?
Okay, I'm giving you
Jeez.
this one.
Didn't the
Thank you.
computers actually compute in metric, but then display it?
No, cut it off.
Cut it off. Cut the feed.
No, pull it. There's a shot of the two Escapade satellites, which were made by Rocket Lab. Actually, they made those and they shipped them out to the Cape.
They're
I
so
mean,
tiny.
Yeah, they are little baby
They're
satellites.
comically small.
For such
It's
a
like-
big rocket.
It's like barely like the fairing is like there's like barely something in there anyway. It's honestly gonna be a
Right.
fun launch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This thing, yeah. New Glenn. I mean, I know there's bigger rockets, guys. Like, let's elephant in the room. There's the Starship, and Starship's awesome, and I love that thing too. I get hyped about that just like this. But I think it's important to just consider the context here. That's a 98-meter tall rocket. It's not as tall as a Saturn V, but it's almost as tall as a Saturn V. And it's not as powerful as the Saturn V. But it is up there. It is a very powerful launch vehicle. This packs a bigger punch than Delta IV Heavy. It packs a bigger punch than Vulcan, BC-6. This can take more payload to space than the shuttle. I mean, Falcon Heavy and if Starship hits that 100 tons to orbit promise that SpaceX launch, which they probably will. There and that and SLS can move more than this thing. It's not the biggest rocket, but this thing still is a monster to have. I just think it's absurd to consider here that we have this monster just coming out of nowhere. You have Starship, you have SLS, and you have like all the rockets that I mentioned are all flying right now. Like that is what the craziest thing is to me. Like I'm cheering on blue every step of the way, right? But considering we have New Glenn's about to get going, SLS is operational. I mean, asterisk that one. Starship
gonna
is on
say.
the way, right? Asterisk that one. Starship's on the way, right? And Falcon Heavy is flying. This is a crazy time. There's so many good rockets. This is fantastic. Please make more. Make more.
I
But
also have
they're go ahead.
I have an update from Harry Stranger, who also is
Oh.
very active, of course, in the whole Blue Origin tracking. And he is saying, if you want to talk about it, I see the first stage simulator outside at the pad via satellite right now. They may be preparing to roll it back to the port for booster recovery testing. So Blue's moving right now or something, apparently. Apparently that he's seeing that via satellite right now. I don't know. That's magic for me. But hey.
Did y'all see that the convocation of cranes at the port? Like we were watching the booster remains come back in earlier, and there were the two big port cranes and then the big blue crane at the port. Have y'all seen that massive Blue Origin crane at the port?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It is a monster.
I don't actually.
Vehicle.
And
I
it's
love
further
cranes.
back. Like that's something that Gavin
Yeah.
explained to me. Like it's already looking big, and then you notice like, oh, it's an optical illusion. It's like way further back, so it's
further
even bigger.
away. Yeah, I'm trying to see if we see it in the background of Fleet Cam right now. I think I see the base of it back there, but it's just big stuff. I like big rockets. I want to see that thing fly and
Yeah.
get static fired and get cryo tested. I don't know. Do y'all want to
I,
do that? Maybe we'll stream it.
Yeah, I
I
saw.
like
I
big
just saw some
rockets
person
that go
asking
and
in the chat,
fly.
like, will NSF cover Blue Origin? Yes. Most likely.
No, I'm good.
Almost like,
We're gonna
yeah,
go
the
get
entire
a
Cape team has already applied for their credentials or something. I don't know.
No.
we're gonna go get a
what?
soft pretzel. We're not covering it. We're good.
Yeah, we are only Starlings here. Hashtag only
Oh, hey.
Starlings.
And
There's-
only
God.
middle of the night
Wow.
Starlinks.
Man, it'd be a shame if something happened to those trees.
Oh yeah, please. If somebody really has a hate against trees, I have a target for you. Like these there.
No, man, I wouldn't wish anything on any tree, but it'd be terrible if something happened to those.
Yeah, like like it's not even that all of them. Like 2 more on the left. That would already help us.
Chainsaw noises intensify. It like keeps cutting back and forth to different people, right? It cuts. And then one time it's me, and the next time I have like a hard hat on, and the next time I have this chainsaw face mask on, and the next thing you see me like pulling a,
And
a starter.
your green screen drops, and you're like in front of the blue hanger, and it's like
There's like a tree behind me, and I've got the chainsaw going in my hands.
It's retaliation for them spraying you with the crawler.
I'm not going after the crawler. I wouldn't win that fight.
No, but
Sawyer.
it's in retaliation of that you go for the trees.
nothing wins the fight against the crawler.
Oh, jeez.
Sawyer, you're leaking again.
No, you guys were the one that got covered in the leaked water.
It was funny.
Oh my gosh. That was more from chat over here. Y'all saw the news about the cruise industry versus the rocket launch industry, right? In the port.
Say that
Anybody?
again?
Yeah, there were some bits. Let's just say there is a bit of a monetary player there that has a
Yeah.
the crew industry apparently has money at the
Yes,
cruise
the
industry.
cruise. Yeah.
So
There was. I guess I'll explain. There was some. There's only so much space in the port, right? And some of that space is tagged for space operations, like literally frontage, like where ships can dock. I guess dockage, if that's what it's called. Gavin would correct me. Um, and then there's the cruise industry and the big cruise ships that come in and out, right? And they wanted to reserve some area for the rocket industry. The rocket industry doesn't make nearly as much money as the cruise industry, but they have to reserve it for the rocket industry because that's how the space and money or whatever was earmarked. And so it was a little bit of headbutting back there in the port, but they're going to need the space with all of the different all the different rockets that are operating in here, especially once New Glenn, New Glenn starts flying.
Newglands.
Newglands.
New Glens. We literally call it
Newglands.
that in our back channel. I saw it and I was like, "What the heck is Noogli in New Glen?" It was like
Newglands.
like a bacon treat. I don't know what
It's
that
one word.
is.
It's
Newglen.
one word.
New Glen.
Newglen.
Newglen.
Like noodle, but with glins.
Oh, I don't think
Newglands.
if a Blue Origin rocket crashes, it'll be called a BSOD. I don't think that's what they're going to call it. Flood perspective. You got to say what the other what the other letters mean. Like rapid unscheduled disassembly. What is BSOD? Like blue
Blue screen of death?
something. Well, that's what it means for real, Sawyer. But what does it mean if it's a rocket?
Blue screen of origin death.
Chat, help us out. Let chat help us with that one.
Blue screen of origin death. Sure.
Send it to chat.
Yeah, we'll flip and ship.
Blue Glen. Oh no.
Blue Glen.
Blue sad.
Anyways.
Oops, Glenn?
Did we cover blue everything?
Well, there's still a little
no.
bit more.
Yeah.
What's
But
up?
wait.
But
But
wait, there's
wait.
more.
There's more. The NS26 New Shepard launch happened yesterday. It was early yesterday morning at 9 a.m. New Shepard launched, and actually it was a pretty successful mission, except for the weird screaming at the end. That was a little weird.
Disconcerting.
But,
There was like a hot mic near the crowd, wasn't there?
Yeah, they were hot micing when the crew was like, "Yeah, this is awesome." So it was a little weird because it was juxtaposed to the commentary that was like, "Yep, and now it's back down on the ground." It was like, "Now it's back down." Yeah, it was a little.
Jeez.
It's a little weird, but hey, New Shepard's doing its thing. It's cool. I know a lot of people like, oh, New Shepard is it's not orbital, man. It's not. Yeah, yeah. Okay, it goes above the Kármán line. I mean, and it comes back down and lands with a hydrolox-based system, which liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen. It's no spring chicken. That thing's pretty awesome. I mean, it's not anything that DCX wouldn't have been doing. Hey, DCX people, yeah, yeah. Where's the DCX people at?
Where's the DCX fans at? I want a DCX shirt.
Yeah, baby. All right. New Shepard's landing legs work, unlike DCX. Oh, too soon.
Too soon.
Little
Landing
too
legs. I
soon.
thought you were gonna go there with the Falcon 9, but geez.
No. That's way too soon. That's way too soon. Oh God, no. What are
Hey,
you crazy? No.
for a very brief moment, this
Yeah.
was the only crew-rated rocket flying off American soil.
Oh my goodness.
True.
True.
Oh my goodness.
It's for a very brief moment.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Oh boy.
Actually,
I-
it's not. It's like no kidding. Yeah, actually, it's not orbital. Come on, seriously.
it's still cool. I honestly,
Hey,
I
still think
love
it's
these
awesome.
missions. I love
Yeah.
I have I have a soft spot for New Shepard. I know some people are like, I don't know, they just my way to work is longer than them flying, but I'm like, but it's flying over 100 kilometers. Like
Yeah.
it's incredibly cool to see there's scientific applications of this. We have scientists. We had scientists on NSF Live telling us that they are scientific applications of these zero-G flight of
Yeah,
these high altitude rocket flights. So there's a purpose for these, and I'm glad Blue's doing them. And I bet it also helps them with software, with understanding for things like New Glenn, because well, they are landing a booster. It's a way smaller booster, but it still needs software. Still needs understanding of how to land a booster. So I bet it
Yeah.
helps them.
Oh, I would guarantee that there's some commonality
Absolutely.
between things that they learned gaining experience flying this rocket, right? The smaller suborbital rocket that get applied to the big rocket to New Glenn. I was gonna say New Glenn now. To New
Newglands.
Glenn.
Dude, it's
I, it,
amazing.
it's almost like that was part of the plan. Like we're gonna get some experience, we're gonna build some team, some institutional knowledge on landing rockets and stages and stuff like that, and then we're gonna scale that up and apply it to this other rocket system. I would be flabbergasted if there wasn't experience and lessons and processes and technologies learned on the smaller rocket that they're applying to the big rocket, or at least leveraging to the big rocket, right?
Now, another thing, yeah, dude, another thing to take into account is that, you know, New Shepard is going to pioneer some landing data for New Glenn, but also I'm pretty sure Blue has some contracts with landing other things on other celestial bodies that
Places.
this data might be useful for that, particularly in the thrust regime area. That might be useful. So yeah, I mean it's a great technological feeder rocket. I think it's a really awesome piece of kit. To be honest with you,
Yeah,
I think it's super cool.
I agree.
I mean, the
Also,
fact that it sits there and deep throttles with hydrolox is amazing, and it doesn't just pop, right? Like hydrolox is really difficult to use.
Yeah.
Anyway, Adrian, go.
in general, getting experience with hydrologs, we always talk about how
Yeah.
complicated storing and transferring and working with hydrogen is, and there's like enough reports about hydrogen leaking out of valves and everywhere, because hydrogen has the tendency to leak everywhere. And Blue Origin is using hydrologs on their second stage, so they already have experience fueling a rocket with hydrogen, storing it, making sure it like has the right temperature. That experience they probably can transfer in some shape or form. It's a way bigger vehicle to New Glenn. It's something.
Yep.
And you're
Oh,
talking about
I do want to
you're
make
talking about second stages there. Sorry, yeah, we'll get to that in 1 second. You're talking about second stages there. You know, at their first stage pretty much already has flight data on their propulsion. Just putting it out there. Anyway, Sawyer, tee it up.
I was gonna say, there was a special item that
Oh.
was flown on this particular flight that I was quite happy about. Dr. Iman flew an Astro Access patch as well as a challenge coin. For those who don't know, Astro Access is a nonprofit that the goal is to try and get people with disabilities, both blind and low vision, deaf, hard of hearing, and mobility impaired, to be able to fly into space and show that people with those, it's not a disability, it's an ability in space. It's something that I've been a part of. I was one of the ambassadors and got to fly on the first ever of their zero gravity flights dedicated to people with disabilities. And it's a great organization, and I appreciate him for bringing that up with him to space.
Very cool.
100%. That's amazing.
Yep. All right, there's a lot more
Yep.
we could talk about that. Every time New Shepard comes up, astronaut versus not astronaut comes up. I think we'll move along with the news. What would y'all rather talk about, astronauts or not, or whatever's next in the news? Starship.
I want to talk about Starship. At least I want Adrian to tell me about Starship. I don't know about you guys.
I want Adrian to tell me about Starship. Nice.
Yep. Hit me with those laser beams. Let's go.
Although, really quick, I think we do want to thank some people, Das, right?
Yeah, I get it. Sure.
Uh, Bob Smith saying, honestly, the FAA is learning and growing. They have a job to do, but are improving their communications as they should. Thank you for the support and totally agree with that. The Gaming Midnight Sun becoming a launch director member. Thank you for the really generous support there. As well as David Murray becoming a Capcom member. Reminder, Capcom and above, you get access to the NSF Discord, so make sure you join in and come say hi. Bob Fillmore, thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. And Michael Oliver with the $100 tip from tips.nasaspaceflight.com. Jeez Louise, the support has been amazing today. Saying, Sawyer, pun token funds, go get him, Tiger, and get well soon. Thank you so much, Michael, for the kind words. It really means a lot, and the support so that you could we're able to bring all of this to you, all of the different live cameras, the videos, these FAA responses in near real time, and Flame Dredge. So thank you.
Absolutely. And I also want to quickly mention, because I see some people asking about that, if we ever will add more engines to this new thrust collection. Yeah, it's planned for sure. It's let us for sure also know which engines you would like. But this was more like, this is already a big undertaking getting these 4 running, and we wanted to at some point just get this running, right? But in the future, like, I would love to have like a Rutherford shirt there and there,
Yeah.
or maybe a Raptor Vac. Who
He
knows?
goes Rutherford. I'm like F1, and he's like Rutherford, and I was like, what?
Yes, or the F1. I totally forgot. How did I never? So far, I think that it's not on my. I never named that on the list. I'm sorry about
RD180.
that.
Put it on the list. That's what chat is saying. So put it on the list.
Yeah.
F1.
I'm
I don't
throwing
know
in
about
RD180.
you guys. Yeah, there you go. I was gonna say I want the Merlin engine's grandpa. I want the LMDE. You know.
Oh, jeez.
You guys don't
Speaking
know,
of,
do you?
Uh-oh.
what's the percentage at?
Oh
Has-
no.
It has not shifted that
It's a report
much.
from the field. Polls are coming in showing that the numbers haven't changed.
There
There
they
we
go.
go.
Now they changed.
There's an animation if the numbers change. How much time spent we on this?
I don't know.
Too much?
But yeah, Raptor even more in the lead now.
SpaceX in the lead. It's 80, what is it? 78% SpaceX, almost 79% SpaceX.
Yep.
How is
Yep,
the
it's a lot.
RS-25 still tied for last? Come on.
Where are the shuttle lovers at? Like, where are the people who love the RS-25?
There's dozens of you, dozens.
It's literally dozens. Some are even in this chat.
At this rate, it
Um,
seems like there's as many people who want the RS-25s as there are in the Ares 1 fan club.
It's
Oh.
actually surprising that there's as many BE4s as RS-25s, but I guess, huh.
Hey, Ares One's an awesome design. No, you're not changing my mind. And stop booing me. I'm right.
No, boo.
Anyway, one thing we
Ah.
could all agree on is that Starship is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. And you know what's even more awesome than normal Starship? Starship V2, which has been a big watch item, of course, in the last few days, because the stacking, I should say, that's the word I'm searching for, of Ship 33 is still commencing in the production site. And we are getting a peek of what a next generation of Starship will look like. And honestly, there's quite some changes that are slowly but surely are getting visible on the version 2 of Starship, and I'm stalling here to get. I see Kevin getting getting some footage of that ready. I'm stalling here.
Here, I got you.
But yeah.
Hold up. I got you.
Oh, go ahead.
Right here. Here, just no, keep talking.
Dude, that's like V.1.
Shh. Oh yeah, it's better than what we have. Come on, we're good.
Come on.
Here you go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I also have. Where did I put the plushie?
Adrian.
Oh my god.
Adrian.
Yes.
Adrian, in the thrust collection, Stubby.
No,
No,
Do it.
no,
no.
no,
Meme.
no,
Do it. You have
no,
to put you have to put
no.
a
Don't give him
Stubby
any
nozzle
ideas.
impact
Why?
in the thrust collection.
That would be amazing.
It'd be
Um,
hilarious.
Don't you mean awful?
I had a visceral reaction to that.
I mean, it's planned. I can tell you. By the way, that's the next generation nose cone we have already seen in Star Factory, where they are now working in an actually clean environment to getting some starships ready. It looks so clean, but to be fair, I will add the caveat that all starships look clean until they are tested. Because every
Huh.
time they roll out a new starship, everybody's like, "Oh, it's look clean," and then it's tested and exposed to like the sea air for a bit, and then it turns to well what it is usually. But yeah, we can see them attaching more tiles here. Getting two new. There's two new nose cones right now in Move on Star Factory. Um, and that's for sure one interesting. That's the other one. That's a bit more naked, a bit less TPSy. And right now we are also looking at a ton of chopstick work, which I know it's a bit of a repeating pattern lately because we're always telling you about how much chopsticks work is going on, but that's honestly what's happening a lot of Starbase recently. They've been adding the reinforcements, of course, to the chopsticks, where they basically uh, almost make space on every single weld and then like put a reinforcement on there. So it seems like they're a bit worried on a potential catching attempt damaging the chopsticks. We have also seen them installing the padding on the other side of the chopsticks, because if you remember, they did one side padding and then did the whole slab testing with that, and now they are also adding the padding, like just almost soft padding, to the other side. Of course, ship 29 also gets a new heat shield there, because they had it almost done, and then the whole "hey, we need to replace the heat shield" thing happened, and of course that's not only affecting the next ship but also the ship after. So that's the current situation, and the honest answer, because I already see people talking about it, right now it seems like they're working on a million things and they are not in a hurry to launch. I can tell you that, because there are no steps right now, or no signs that they are like in a crazy uh in a crazy hurry to get to the launch. And sorry, with soft padding I mean bumper. I
They're
maybe
like
I'm
they're
yeah.
crumple zones. I sort of like call them crumple zones because they're sort of hollow things that look like they're springy or something, like metal that could deform to absorb some of the energy.
Yep, it's like probably making sure that you're not hitting your booster with like whole, I don't know, whole galvanized steel of the chopsticks to catch
Yeah.
it. That's probably not that healthy. That's, by the way, the aft section of a new ship, of ship 33. Um, One of the interesting things, for example, is the engine cool line, which has been moved to the left side. There, you can see it there on the left side on the hinge where the flaps will be attached to. That's the engine cool line, where the engine chill vent will come out in the future. So they have moved that, for example. Of course, the QD interface in the middle. And yeah, overall ship, the first version 2 ship is kind of taking shape. We have not seen any V3 Raptors yet in Boca. That's still to come, but honestly, this ship will probably undergo some very solid proof testing first, because it's a different size. They changed a lot. It makes sense that they will probably prove this to oblivion.
Hmm.
That's
Neat.
quick intro to Starbase.
Yeah, dude.
It's like, I don't know, what are we supposed to talk about?
We could talk about that there's a weird road closure, but go ahead.
Talk about the weird road closure.
yeah, no,
There's
no,
a weird
yeah,
road.
I'm curious. Oh.
We have a 3-hour road closure that wants to move something from the pad to the SpaceX parking area. That's
When is
according to
that?
the that is, let me get you the exact timings. On September 4th between midnight and 3 a.m.
Hmm.
It's a 3-hour window from pad to the SpaceX parking lot. The transport itself will take approximately 1 hour. The beach and high will remain open. It's
Huh.
an interesting one because I don't have a like solid
mean-
idea what it could be, but it could be Starhopper.
They don't say which parking lot, do they? Starhopper.
I
You mean
mean,
Hoppy.
Hoppy.
it's one of the only objects they could move right now from the launch site to there. Like, or it's a, I don't know, big decommission of one tank, but I don't see any work on that. So maybe
I was gonna
maybe
guess the crane, dude. They stacked module 9. Maybe the CC 8800. You know, move that around.
But the
Just a
lightning
thought.
pole is the lightning protection system is not on top yet, and I think they need that for that, right?
Well, when
Well,
they can reach.
it's not September 4th yet, is it?
That's true.
Right? Like I'm just putting. I
Nice.
mean, you're not wrong. I'm just putting it out there. I mean, you know what? It could be the crane. The crane is the boring option. Let's just hope it's Starhopper, right? Hoppy.
Careful what you wish for. Like,
Why?
It depends
hope
what they
it's
do with
Hopper.
it.
Don't touch Hopper. What are you gonna do with it?
As long as they
Like,
don't,
Put
you
it-
know.
It belongs in a
Damn it.
museum.
I feel like there would be a significant pushback from the community if there would be anything harm to be done to Starhopper. Let's word it like that.
I would
Guys,
hope.
they-
pushback from the
They
community.
scrapped SN15. Nothing is sacred with that company. Come
Nothing
on.
is sacred.
Nothing is sacred. They scrapped one that flew and landed.
Yeah, but
Like,
how
we are-
so did Hopper technically, and how long has that been there?
Somebody in chat said they were going to chain themselves to Starhopper and protest.
Jeez.
If anything,
No.
dare you? They're going to do it in the middle of the night. Watch.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah. Huh.
There's, by the way, the weird wording. It's from the pad to the SpaceX parking lot, and it's not like there are like a million vehicles right now at the pad. So
To the SpaceX parking lot, but it doesn't designate which one. Interesting. I mean, hopefully what they're doing is they're moving Starhopper and they're putting it in another place that's maybe more accessible or something like that. It shouldn't go anywhere. Like it should stay around, but maybe they're just
Yeah.
moving it where it's less in the way at the launch site, but still preserved and available for the public to enjoy.
Or
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a resource.
Go ahead.
honestly, if it stays there, it would be done at some point. So if they want to preserve it, they kind of need to move it, because if you have been at Starbase for launch, Starhopper usually takes a bit of a beating during launch. Like, it's
Yeah.
not crazy, but every single launch it gets something. So
yeah.
Witch Doctor says, now I know why Jack isn't on this stream. He's repairing chains.
yeah, he's already on there. You cannot see it yet. It's already
No.
on there.
Guys, do we have, and this is a little bit off the cuff here. Forgive me, Kevin. I know he's like, do we have any pictures from like a top down? Like, I know we have some flyover pictures relatively recently. Do we have any pictures of the top down? Because I had somebody propose an idea to me over in my chat that I was like, huh,
Search for
okay.
Yes,
that?
we have them. It will take more than 10 seconds to find them, though.
Yeah, okay. So I'll
That's
just
why we
I'll
have
just,
the doc that has everything prepped before the show. Like,
yeah,
up to-
exactly. Like I know
find.
it's off the cuff. I get it.
Yeah.
There seems to be you know that office building that SpaceX is building on the it's like kind of the northeast side of the production site. You see it in the B-roll footage, guys, that we roll when the countdown is going at the beginning of Flame Trench, right? There's a I was looking at some of the flyover pictures, and there seems to be a triangular shaped hole in the roof. Now, somebody floated this idea, so this is not my idea. You think they're going to take Starhopper and put it in the put it inside the building, inside of the office building, similar to how like Blue Origin has a New Shepard booster in the lobby, right? When you
mean-
go and an X-33 umbilical too, and I'm super jelly of that. But
Hopper's a
Another-
lot bigger than the Blue Origin rocket. Like,
Is it?
footprint-wise, yeah, Hopper is way bigger footprint because the big
yeah,
legs and everything. Like, it's just way bigger. So, I could see it rolling it in the side. I'd be surprised if they lowered it in through the roof, but maybe I haven't like measured it out.
Wouldn't put it past them.
Well,
look, I saw a triangular shaped hole, and it looked to be about the right size. You know, it's like that toy where you got to put the square peg in. I mean, Hopper's got a triangular footprint. All right, I'm just saying.
But hey, you've seen the
I
movie where
know.
it fits in the wrong sized hole anyway, with the square and
yeah.
the circle.
Oh no, not that video. Where do we put the cylinder? It goes in the square hole.
Yep.
Yes. No. No.
That with Hopper.
Okay, how long is a F-150?
How long is an F1? Adrian's measuring.
It
In
depends.
Murica units.
What kind of F-150 is it?
I have no idea. They're very small on this picture.
He doesn't even
How
know
many-
if it's an F-150, but it's a truck.
How many
Yeah,
doors?
I just assume.
How many doors? Oh, you can't. Yeah, we're not.
Can't.
You're not
It's a
seeing
flyover,
that.
No,
You're
no.
not, yeah, you're
I mean,
not
it's like
seeing
a car
that.
guy.
I think
It depends.
3 trucks maybe long, maybe 2.75 trucks long,
Yeah.
maybe just over
Yeah.
3.
See the triangle? See what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The square peg in the triangular peg.
What? Why wouldn't they roll it in the side though?
I don't.
Yeah,
Why
why
would
would
you
they
lift it
why
in the
would you
top?
first build the building and then put it in
well,
there?
I
It
don't
is
have the
SpaceX.
answer. I don't have the answer to that question. But I'm gonna answer the question with a question. Why is there a triangular shaped hole in your roof?
Hmm.
I'm
Why
just
isn't
putting
there
it
one
out
in
there.
yours?
I'm just putting. I don't have those because I don't need to put the booster in through the roof. Like, not that I have one. Maybe. I don't know.
Hey, that's a good question. I don't have a good smart answer to. So
Right?
I mean, there's this other photo that we're looking.
Just
I'm
putting it
looking
out
at
there.
multiple photos. Sorry. It's about 3 truck links from toe to toe on Starhopper, and it looks like about 3 toe links on that hole. I don't know if there's some perspective messing with us or something there, but huh.
How many bananas?
Yes.
It's a flyover picture. We can't see bananas. Everybody sees the triangular hole there, right? Have we zoomed? I was looking at the other thing. We've
Yeah,
zoomed in.
it's-
There we go. Okay, yeah. We
It
have.
would be triangular though.
That is it. So it is in the corner next to the building. It is sort of a triangular corner there because otherwise you got a parallelogram.
Right?
I don't
See,
know.
why is there a triangular shaped hole in your roof? It's very weird, man. There's no other triangular shaped holes in the roof, okay?
I'm thinking about
I don't
other
know.
triangle-shaped things you want to put into your building, but honestly, it's not a bad idea. By the way, this is another picture I want to bring up. If we can bring
Giant
that up,
Doritos?
that's good shout. But this is from Mary, and Mary spotted work at Starhopper.
See.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean-
they are like, I know it's hard to say what they're doing, but it's like, what would they be doing? Like, why would they work on Starhopper with a cherry picker?
Yeah.
Huh. They are. It's
Telstar.
underneath. There's a scissor lift under there. You see the scissor
yeah,
lift
sorry, a
going up
scissor lift.
underneath. Yeah. I was like,
Telstar's-
I don't think the lift is doing anything, but that scissor lift on the left hand side there is up underneath Hopper because you can tell the strut,
Yeah.
the support is behind the scissor lift there.
They'll saying put
Huh.
a giant Toblerone in your building. I'm in. I'm in.
Oh,
Let's do
much
it.
better.
Let's do it.
Bro.
Yeah, let's go.
So
Nice.
honestly,
Yeah.
I don't think the theory, and Ryan also confirming on our back channel,
Right?
that hole apparently goes all the way to the ground floor.
Dude, that's all I'm
That's
saying, man.
weird.
That's all I'm saying.
Ooh.
Triangular
Is-
shaped rocket, triangular shaped hole, okay?
Okay, time out. I haven't driven past there. Is that like the main entrance on the side of the building on San Martin there instead of the main road?
I don't know. I just saw
haven't
the
driven by.
triangle.
I'm searching for pictures right now out of that angle.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
helps.
What have I
Huh.
done, chat? Oh no.
It's
Oh, we will investigate this.
It would preserve it for longer if it was inside the building versus outside the building,
But
but the public would be less able to see it. And how's he going to check anybody's papers inside the building?
okay, I think the first one is more my concern than the papers thing. But honestly, I don't like this if it goes in there. I don't like the whole rocket garden lockup already. I think
Yeah.
it's such a cool perk to go to Starbase and be able to go, like, when you back there you could go to the rocket garden and make like a selfie 10 meters in front of a starship. That was cool. And and right now Hopper is also kind of accessible still. It's still next to the road. You can observe this historic piece of starship right next there. And yes, I get it. It's a cool thing also for these SpaceXers, but leave something for the public. You already scrapped the whole first starship that landed. Why?
Yeah. It's about 3 stories tall, like, it's 3 plus stories, it's like office building stories, not regular, which may be 5 normal stories, I guess. And the building does look like it's tall enough in that area to hold it. The
Yeah.
truck looked like the sizing was good, I just don't understand why you wouldn't roll it in the side, unless the design of the building is the type of building where that's all structural on the outside, right? Some buildings are structural on the inside and they have sort of floating or suspended glass walls on the outside. But here, looking at these buildings, they really look like they're structural all the way to the outer walls with no non structural parts past that. And the glass is right there near the structural main beams of the building, it looks like. So maybe you can't put a hole that size there, but if that's what you were doing, why wouldn't you put it in position before you built the building? Like,
They care about Starhopper that much that they don't want to do a construction around it, and
what?
they're dead. That's the answer.
Yeah, okay. They've blasted it with concrete.
By accident.
Oh. It really, it looks close. It would be interesting and sort of sad if it goes into the building, but that would preserve it a little bit better. Eh,
Yeah.
really trying to make lemonade there.
Hey,
It's
it was just a thought. My first thing is that they're going to scrap it. That was my first.
Ugh.
thought.
Don't even
Put it in
say
the building,
that.
put it in
Oh
the
no,
building.
he said the
Put
word.
it,
Put it in the
See what
building.
I'm saying?
Guys, I have an idea.
What's that?
Oh no.
All right, Hopper where the triangle is, and Ship 26 where the big
No.
square is.
Oh,
Actually,
God.
this entire building, Kevin, is designed to hold Ship 26 horizontally, right? They're going to lay it down and put it into the building.
The only proper thing to do is to scrap that ship, but that's another story.
I just had to say
It's
Ship 26 once.
You just had to say Ship 26. We almost
it's
got all
like
the way through the show.
I'd
we were
much
that
rather
close.
the voting music, by the way, than the Ship 26 music. Just saying.
The voting.
Vote. It's like. By the way, Raptor continues to pull ahead in that race.
Huh. Other news from Starbase. There's bound to be other interesting things that I was thinking we were going to spend this much time on this, but what's next?
Honestly, that's kind of the hardware news. I know there's some news about how to word this. The
Regulatory compliance.
regular, yeah. So SpaceX apparently was fined $3,750. So they're about to be bankrupt, I guess, with that high amount of money.
Whatever shall they do?
Yeah. Because of the fine's not the big one. It's more why they got fined, and they got fined because of the unauthorized discharge of industrial wastewater into surrounding wetlands.
Quick
Which
point of order. Really quick point of order. They haven't been fined yet.
oh
This is a proposed administrative agreement from Texas EQ, right? And it has to be posted for 30 days for comment and public awareness before it becomes an accepted agreement. So this is like a tentative agreement that has not actually been enforced or finalized yet. So you say they've been fined. Um, TCEQ has said the evidence exists to fine SpaceX for this, but the fine actually hasn't been finalized yet. You see what I did there? So just really quickly, that's an important point on some other stuff I'm going to talk about. Continue.
Fun token award.
and the industrial wastewater was apparently discharged without a TPDES permit, which is the Texas Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. On March 14th, 2024, April 5th, 2024, May 8th, 2024, and July 26th, 2024.
4 different
That's
dates.
Yes, that's apparently the dates where they were now charged, or like they're accused, I should say, like they're accused of emitting industrial wastewater into surrounding wetlands. And there's now some. I already saw some Elon tweets about that he's saying it's drink water, and there's now some very good argumentation about if you fire some rocket engines or fire it through a deluge system, if you can still call something drink water. But yeah, apparently they didn't have a permit for that.
Apparently
discharge.
they didn't.
Yeah.
Y'all remember the news a couple weeks ago? I guess it was like 2 weeks ago, where there's this story that came out from CNBC about this. Oh, they didn't have a permit; they were discharging wastewater, right? And there was a bunch of back and forth there. And SpaceX said it's factually inaccurate, and then some other people joined in. And I was sort of looking at that and thinking, geez, I'd love to review the documents. Like, what actually backs this up? either SpaceX had permission to be discharging it, and SpaceX can provide that documentation, and it's like, okay, whatever. Well, SpaceX didn't provide any documentation that I saw there, or this wasn't actually a big deal, and somebody else is over exaggerating something, right? Hyperbolizing something or taking it for more than what it is. I think it's true on both cases there, but um, I didn't see documents on either side that backed up either way, like SpaceX's official written permission to continue operating without the permit, or the actual permit saying that oh, you weren't supposed to discharge at this time. We're gonna fine you, right? Or you're doing something wrong, basically. And then just today, state of Texas, there's these fines that go out from the Water Quality Board, or so the Environmental Quality Board, right? And they posted up a thing online. There you go. This is the line item from it, because they have to give 30 days notice on things like this so that they can be reviewed and available to the public before the fine is actually finalized. Can't reuse that one, but whatever. And so this just came out today. And this information says that SpaceX is in fact being fined for discharging wastewater without a permit. And they did an investigation and they found that that was true and there was evidence to back it up. And SpaceX should not have been doing this. Now, I did a little bit more digging into it, and I'm still trying to. I actually did an information request to get some more of these documents from the Texas government. Basically, I don't have them yet, so I can't really talk too much about it. Uh, but it's there. And back in late July, the Texas TCEQ did an investigation before anybody was tweeting about it, before anybody wrote articles about it. That investigation had already occurred at the end of July. Okay. And during that investigation, I'm wondering, this is actually why I requested the documents. Did SpaceX provide documentation that they were told they could continue operations? It doesn't seem like it, because if they provided that documentation, it wouldn't have gotten to the fine level, right? Well, on the flip side, has it been hyperbolized, and what exactly does it say? Personally, I want to read the actual document before I speculate too much more on it to see exactly what went on in this investigation and exactly what SpaceX was saying or wasn't saying. But what I can see so far, and we don't have to show the other thing. You can search for it online and it comes up, and you could just see like this pending summary and the dates that these things occurred. But all the way back in the end of July, this investigation as to whether or not they had discharged industrial wastewater without a permit was ongoing. And 2 weeks later, this whole thing about, oh, I wrote an article, responded online, yada, yada, that all happened, but that was 2 weeks after the investigation. So I'm going to review it and we'll be back and we'll give you more information on what we think. Honestly, I feel like it's an administrative sort of error or overblown or something like that, but it really does look like SpaceX did operate without a permit because the TCEQ, I gotta keep saying it right, TCEQ found that and posted it publicly all the way up to the thing where they submitted that information to SpaceX officially, like in an official capacity. So let's read some chat and see what people think about this, shall we?
I mean, if you get fined, like, don't get me wrong, like if you're already at the moment where you get fined, that's not
Yep.
longer somebody is accusing you. This like the regulatory agency in this case, they're probably pretty sure this happened because otherwise they wouldn't just fine you.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so that's an interesting case, and of course it seems the argumentation, at least that's what we so far get from X, is that SpaceX is saying this is not wastewater, this is drinking water.
Well,
That's apparent.
there's a few different things that SpaceX said in that big statement. I've been thinking about this. I did a bunch of research on this. One of the primary things that SpaceX was trying to argue in that statement was that they were covered under a general permit that covers various types of industries to sort of speed up the process, right? So SpaceX said that in the tweet that they didn't need a specific permit; they were covered under this general permitting process. Um, Sounds like TCEQ doesn't agree that they're covered under that general permit, and that's a bit of argumentation there. Like SpaceX says they are. SpaceX refers to this TCEQ's website. SpaceX's industry or name doesn't seem to be listed anywhere under that general permit that I could find today in the 30 minutes I had to look at it, right? So need to get more information before you really talk about it. But that was one of the things that they said. The other thing that they said was that they had been given permission to continue operating, didn't see evidence of that. You just have to take it at face value until it either exists or it doesn't, right? But the third thing you see is this argument that it's just drinking water. Well, I can't get behind that argument personally because you've sent it through industrial equipment that is not designed, certified to handle drinking water. So as soon as you put it into that equipment, it is no longer drinking water, right? And then you've sprayed it out of nozzles, blasted it with rocket exhaust, and mixed it with fine silicate that might have come from the concrete around the area or the steel plate components may be involved as well. Like all of these different things. Um, Needs to do more research though. Like it really is the sort of thing where go and read the information. Don't do it on thoughts and feelings. Don't overblow it. But I'm gonna see if I can get more documents, and we'll talk more about it in the future. Chat. I see the drinking water thing in chat. Like a bunch of people talking about,
There's
oh, it's just potable water. Oh, it's perfectly safe to
yeah.
drink. Like that's how it starts its life. They literally pump it out of fire hydrants, the Brownsville public water system. They put it in trucks and they pipe it out, or they carry it out to Starbase in trucks, right? So it starts life there as potable water, drinking water. But as soon as you put it into the tanks and the piping and the pumps that are not certified for drinking water, it no longer becomes drinking water. That's sort of how it works, right? Um, I don't know. Anybody?
I
You know,
think the other question, just
go
really,
ahead, Sawyer.
is when during the process did that potable water spill happen? Is it before it went into the hardware or after? Because then
Yeah.
that makes a huge
Ah,
difference.
we've got this one. The dates that they actually cite were actually test flight 3, a booster 11 static fire, a ship 30 static fire, and another static fire at Massey's. So it wasn't like a spill while they were filling it. All of these line up not just with deluge tests, but deluge tests where rocket exhaust was involved.
Hmm.
We did get that research done before the show.
Das, I think the and everybody, I think the this really, yeah, I think this really comes from the general permit versus the individual permit. I think TCEQ gave them a general permit first, and then someone complained to the EPA, and the EPA went and checked with TCEQ, and when they talked to them, they both kind of agreed that they need a more individual permit for wastewater discharge. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Am I wrong there?
If that was true,
If that was the case, it seems like it's just kind of honest, not an honest mistake, but that's one of
yes.
those unknown unknowns. You're not going to know until you go and do it, right? Like,
Yeah, something you really have to look at the exact dates and stuff like that. Like
yeah,
I would be more open to that explanation if the TCEQ hadn't just put out this proposed fine,
yeah,
right? Because if that was all true and they did have permission from TCEQ, I don't believe TCEQ would be fining them right now. So that's where
yeah.
that line of thinking sort of falls apart, I guess. I don't
I
know.
mean, it's not really a big fine. It's not going to do anything. It might just be crossing your T's and dotting your I's, right? Like,
Yeah, it's more the I guess it's the principle of the matter because there's this whole thing about they operated without a permit, they didn't operate without a permit, are they following the regulatory guide? I don't know. The fine means nothing, right? The fine
yeah,
is basically nothing. You could sneeze and they'd spend that much on a lift, right?
yep.
Um, Not even close. But what was on the screen right now, Kevin's showing this is actually SpaceX's response, and this is what I was talking through, where it was like, oh, the general permit. Well, if the general permit truly applied, I don't see how they would have gotten fined or the proposed fine, right? And then, oh, it's drinking water. Let's see. Well, there's a little bit of things there that I don't think SpaceX is really being fair about, because as soon as you put drinking water into something that is not designed to handle drinking water, you don't get to call it drinking water anymore. So
So,
It's
look at the back channel, boys.
oh, I gotta scroll around.
Yeah, interesting. What do you make of that?
Oh well, I don't know. We'd have to get more information on. Like
Yeah,
again, EJ, I did ask for official documents.
yeah,
I'll see
absolutely.
when I get it. I was calling around. I actually talked to a couple people at the TCQ today, who were super helpful. It's just right before the holiday weekend, and I couldn't get the
Yeah,
documents turned around like same day.
yeah, absolutely.
So,
hmm
anyways,
I
it's
mean, I
it's
don't.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Adrian.
No, it's I just I don't like any environmental discussion. Like when they like the one thing is, of course, this fine won't bankrupt SpaceX. We are not talking about like, oh, this fine will be the problem. The problem is, um, these kind of like smaller things where they operate without a permit, they emit wastewater, something happens that has like environmental implications, because environmental implications have been in the history of Boca Chica and the history of Starbase operating in Boca Chica kind of a topic. We
Yeah.
had this whole environmental assessment. We had like environmental groups threatening to sue SpaceX if they smell a foul, word it like that. We have in the past discussion about this topic, and it's a heated topic in that area because it's in the end it's fairly in the wildlife.
There's
So
more scrutiny too. Like there's more
yeah,
scrutiny because it's SpaceX and because it's a controversial thing and all of this stuff. I do want to point out like this listing where this fine was listed, right? This public notification of the fine. There are 21 other fines in there. None of them, only one of them has to do with SpaceX. 21 other fines. Some of them are hundreds of thousands of dollars with multiple violations. And this one is a shipyard company that was not handling abrasive blasting media correctly and discharging it into blah 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 blah, right? But the fine there was over $100,000. I'm trying to scroll through and actually see where it was. $120,844, right? So this isn't like, oh, TCQ is just out to get SpaceX or anything like that. That's nonsense. There are 21 different things in here all over the state. Everything. This one, look, Sam Houston Area Council of the Boy Scouts of America has a fine in
Oh,
here.
what?
Failing to collect and analyze effluent samples at the interval specified in the permit. SpaceX does that. Like when they do a deluge, they collect samples and they send it off to the lab. Apparently, the Boy Scouts of America didn't do that.
Rookie mistake. They're not getting their patch for that.
The Boy Scouts got fined $5,250,
More than
so the Boy
SpaceX.
Scouts,
more
yeah,
than
the space
SpaceX.
that's hilarious.
Oh, I didn't see that one originally.
Okay.
$26,000 for private aircraft maintenance, violating similar rules. Um, Actually, no, that one's failing to label or clearly mark containers. We've got Shady Oaks, Texas, which is wastewater effluent limitations monitoring requirements. Water bottling company, City of Zavala, City of Trinidad, City of Goodloe, City of Austin got fined $25,000. So the point of looking at this stuff, as Kevin frantically tries to scroll around as I miscellaneously read from the document, I apologize, Kevin. This isn't like, oh, somebody complained and now it's lawfare against SpaceX. It's like this is a bog standard thing that happens every single month in Texas. It has nothing to do with SpaceX. It has nothing to do with rocket companies or anything like that. It's a normal thing to make sure that we have clean drinking water to drink and clean environments for our plants and fish to grow in, I guess. You know what I mean. Um, I'm pontificating. Somebody else talk.
I I think again this one issue in itself, based on also the fine height and everything. Like I don't think we don't need to talk about, oh, SpaceX environmental license will be revoked because of this, based on.
Yeah.
But it's more of a thing of like, um is there potentially but more, and we also saw like the whole situation with some public media reports claiming that there was more mercury based on reports, and then the FAA delayed hearings because like there is some it's a hot topic right now that I
Yeah.
don't even want to fully summarize and touch, because there's so many different interests and different opinions in it. But that's, I think, why this has like partial significance here, because it's related to an ongoing discussion. But I see a finger going up.
Uh-oh.
The thing to look out for here, some people want to score internet points with it and they want clicks with it, and they might blow it out of proportion or make it more than it is or whatever, right? And the needle swings way too far in one direction. They try to make it seem a lot worse than it is. SpaceX, on the other hand, I absolutely expect SpaceX to protect SpaceX. Like that's what a company is going to do. So SpaceX over here arguing their side, right? And guarantee you the truth ends up somewhere in the middle. Don't give too much credence to what naysayers may be trying to blow things out of proportion. But it's okay to do a little research and make sure you have the facts and understandings. Don't just like read what a company says as gospel. It's fair to make sure you understand things before you form an opinion on it, right? I'm reading chat too, so
Mm-hmm.
I know it
Yeah.
frustrates people, but it's not. I mean, the Boy Scouts got fined more. Good grief! Get the wastewater merit badge. Somebody in chat said the wastewater management merit badge.
Yeah, they're not getting that. But yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, going regarding in general big Starbase topics this week, I wish I could tell you, by the way, oh, they're like in a hurry to prepare the launch site for launch, and we are just days away from a booster returning to the pad and everything. But honestly, that's not the case. To just once again line that up, like I saw some people talk about on like, hey, maybe launch in 2 weeks. Honestly, I feel pretty confident to tell you right now this launch is not in the 2 weeks because
No.
they taking their look at the chopsticks. Look at it right now.
Yep.
Like that's not the visuals of them just quickly getting something inspected and putting a booster on it. They are taking their time to upgrade the system, make sure they're ready for a catch attempt,
Yeah.
and yeah,
The
right now,
structural reinforcements, Adrian. I've been doing the narrated
yeah.
dailies where I watch a daily and I just talk about it, like my opinions about it while the daily plays. I don't know if y'all have seen that on the channel. But the amount of structural reinforcement that's been happening on the chopsticks really makes me wonder if they believe that the chopsticks were ready to catch. They said the vehicles were ready to flight pending regulatory approval, right? But were the chopsticks ready to catch? They didn't say that, and there's an awful
I
lot of work happening out there.
I still think that was like a tweet on technicality. I think that
Yeah,
that was a tweet that said we are ready to fly, and I think ready to fly in this case means yes, we could probably scramble something together and fly that. Would we be able to successfully catch? Probably not.
yeah,
Um, and when people are saying, "Oh, they're waiting on the FAA," well, they're doing a pretty good job right now reinforcing the chopsticks. I'm not sure if they would do that if they're just
yeah.
tumbling their fingers right now and waiting around.
You can see the bumper crumple zones there. You see the light on the inside of the chopsticks, like the contact patch on the chopsticks there. They installed those little trapezoidal brackets, and then they put in. They literally look like. Have y'all ever seen like an old bumper from like an older car? Not a new modern car, but it was almost more like a
Yep.
little spring that would deform more than a hydraulic piston or anything like that, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
And those things are like they look like hollow, not leaf springs, but sort of that sort of thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
No, definitely not leaf springs. They're like they look like fig Newtons actually. They're hollow inside with no fruit.
Yeah.
Like
Now
they're
I
just
want a
cake.
fig Newton.
I
Thanks.
haven't had a fig Newton in forever.
I have no idea what that is.
It's fruit and cake, Adrian. Fig Newtons are fruit and cake.
Ah,
Um, that narrowed it down a little bit.
But yeah, like you
yeah,
said, it's definitely more on the we're ready to do it and a kind of way to make sure it almost seems like it's saying to the FAA, "Hey, we're ready waiting for you," even though deep down they're really not. It's kind of just a way to expedite the process. It's
Yeah,
one of those where they want to have it in their back pocket kind of deal.
that, that bums me out a little bit though. Like they're SpaceX, they do such cool things. They already have us. We already love what they do. They don't have to do a technical tweet to try and act like somebody else is holding them up. Like, oh, the booster and ship are ready. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like they
and
don't need to do that to get us on their side. You know?
and to be fair, they have been doing that with the Starship program now for years. I think this is like the third time that we have a discussion where Starship, like SpaceX, says, "Oh, we are ready." And
Yeah,
like that's the moment I look on the right screen here and I see like probably about 15 cranes working on the OLM,
yeah.
and I'm like, "Are you ready, though?"
I was
Like,
out there, like out there prepping for flight, and they're like, "Oh, your vehicle's ready to fly," and then all of a sudden the vehicle gets destacked. It's like, what?
like
Hang on.
it, yeah, it's I think honestly we're getting very close to net October if I had to put a number on it right now.
Yeah,
Like even if they go full pace from now on, like completely bonkers full pace, get them to the wet rest rehearsal. I think we all assume there will be another wet rest rehearsal. Um and just try to clear it as fast as they can. We are probably talking 2 weeks until they even can wet rest with the
yeah,
chopstick state right now. So we are somewhere in the 14th, 15th. And even if you then assume like a week and a half to launch, we are already in the 25th. So
yeah.
So the exact
it,
same time as Crew 9.
yes. I
Oh
think
boy.
realistically we at this point talking about late-ish to early October, late September, early October for actual launch.
Yeah. There's a ton of conversation in the chat over here about the wastewater stuff and stuff like that. You know something, I'm personally interested in it, and I've already made some contacts, and I will continue to watch what's going on. Um, Beyond now, like I don't want to get too far into speculation, but let's see what documentation we can get, and then we can look at dates and have they applied for the proper permit and that sort of stuff. A lot of people are really talking about that in chat, but let us get a little bit more information. Let us do a good job reporting on it instead of just sort of, you know.
Yep. And I mean, they're using their time, right? I think
Yeah,
right now I view this more as preparing the Starship program for the next phase because if they wouldn't do all of this, well, if they haven't had the tower ready, V2 Starship can fly. Like, right, from what we know right now, the new tower is more of a, like, the new pad will be the one that flies the V2. So they need to do that at some point anyway. They need to get Ship 33 done at some point. They need to upgrade the chopsticks at some point.
yeah.
So they're just using their time efficiently right now, and sometimes launching rockets fast in the future means going slow for now.
Hey, you
Ooh,
got
I
to
like that.
scale. Yeah.
No,
I mean,
no slow, only fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
only gas pedal.
I mean,
Launch it every 2 weeks.
All gas,
Only
no
gas
brake.
pedal.
yeah.
Yeah, no
Yep.
slow, only fast launches.
I mean, Adrian, that wouldn't be any different to what ULA is doing or Blue, if you want to look at Blue Origin, right? I mean, they've been ramping. It's very clear that like
Yeah,
ULA, just on a side note, has been ramping up. Like, look at their launch cadence over the years. It's gone down, right? It's gone down because they're retooling and revamping. This stuff takes time. Even with SpaceX at their lightning pace, it still takes time.
yeah, yeah.
Especially when you're working with, what you see on the screen here. It's not like that's complicated or anything.
Big infrastructure. Hey, over in
Yeah.
over in chat, this comes up a lot. All right, Spencer Casanova saying if the FAA let them fly today, would SpaceX decide to make all these upgrades? We hear this all the time. Oh, the only reason they're doing that is because the FAA is slowing them down. Um, Maybe there's some amount of truth to it, but there's got to be a balance, right? Like, what are you going to do? Like, could they launch today and not try the catch? Sure. Could they launch today, but they're like, well, I don't know. If it catches, it's really risky. And does it make sense to give it a little bit more work before you try it? It's almost like having somebody else pause it a little bit and make them think like, hey, should you really maybe upgrade that a little bit before you try it? Maybe that's not a bad thing. You know, I don't know. I don't know the inside information on exactly. Oh, well, no, it's all ready to go. Except, you know what I mean. You can
Mhm.
only look at it from the outside and sort of make your own assessment of what you think's going on. But there's a lot of work going on around the launch pad right now.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a lot of support around
Well,
the launch pad, and we've been getting a lot of support too during this stream.
all right.
Hey,
I would like to
William,
know
thank you for
more.
becoming a red team member. Bob Smith with the important question for you, Das. How big is your lot? I mean, Hopper would make a fine camera mount, just saying.
Yeah, baby.
I do believe we have plenty of room on NSF property to fit Hopper. I would gladly give Hopper a home if SpaceX called me tomorrow or Tuesday. No, SpaceX works holiday weekends. Called me tomorrow and said, "Hey, we need a place to put this." NSF would bend over backwards and then mount cameras just all over it, just look like a camera platform.
We would have
Uh,
like Hopper Cam 1 to 6 or
yeah,
something.
we do have enough room to put Hopper on NSF property. This is not a thing at all, by the way. It's not like I'm trying to hint anything, but I would seriously look into it. It would be seriously more work to let the public come and visit it, like to put some picnic tables underneath it, because then it's like liability insurance and all that parking and all this sort of stuff, right? But I would seriously look into it if that was something that somebody seriously asked for. You know,
Yeah, hang one of those signs on it instead of "Make your house a home, make your Hopper a home."
make your
Yep.
Hopper a home.
What about Chip
We could
26?
we could
No.
live in it. Now forget Ship 26. We could live in
Yeah.
Hopper. We could actually convert Hopper into like a condo or something.
Talk
Oh,
about
that's
best
funny.
Airbnb.
That was such
Hopper
a quick
Airbnb.
deny to Kevin. Us.
It's gotta-
We had.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Sawyer.
I was just gonna say finish up the last bit of support here. Devin Waldron saying we should have a new poll asking how many of us would drink the water. Not so sure. I would. Yeah. And then Antonio Burke saying masterclass in distracting us from unending work and regrowth scaffolding on the OLM with the
Scaffolding.
chopstick distraction. Not slick, SpaceX.
Yeah. Anytime you see scaffolding go up, it's more involved work. It takes time to put it up. It takes time to take it down. It's nowhere near the same as a lift, right? So you look around and you see what has scaffolding on it, because scaffolding is a little bit more like you don't put scaffolding up unless you think you're going to be there for a while, right?
Yeah, and also, we're talking Starbase here. We've got towers, but the slicks are over at Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
Sawyer. I really would. Oh no! Back again with an update on the
Speaking of
engine
polls.
election. Yeah.
Engine
That was-
update.
Okay. There's the previous numbers. There's the update.
Still tied.
How are people buying the exact same number of RS-25s and BE-4s?
And
Ooh.
Raptor's just pulling away.
It's almost up to 60% Raptor now.
Jeez.
By the way, that's our new Thrust collection. If you want that new Thrust collection and want a shirt, a hoodie, a sweatshirt, a mug, you can get that at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. Just pointing that out. And I think they're really, really, really sick. I love that.
They are. The Thrust collection with the 4 engines in the Block 1 Thrust collection here. We'll have a Block 2 Thrust collection, a Block 3 Thrust collection, but these are the ones that we are launching for. You know something? You know what I bet it is? Everybody that buys an RS-25 also buys a BE-4. I bet you that's
There's
what's
a
happening.
pattern of that. I can tell you that there's a non-SpaceX bot pattern, and we have claiming evidence here by if we show EJ right now. I'm
Oh no.
Wait, what?
I know
Oh.
that music.
Oh.
No.
there you
Right.
go.
This is
EJ
the wrong music.
It's the Ship 26.
There you go.
music.
EJ's got it.
EJ is the person that buys them. It's all EJ.
No, that is not true.
It fits the pattern, though. It fits the
No.
pattern.
No.
Are we? This ship. Why?
By the way,
don't
one
know.
more from Gunfox here saying if DOS could, DOS would place a camera system on a drone ship. Also, when DOS Elon interview.
You know something? Hey, we honestly looked into camera buoys and stuff like that, and we didn't have the bandwidth to handle the paperwork. We looked into it. The paperwork to get an unattended buoy placed in a navigational area was a whole thing. Believe me. We look into a lot of things. We can't do all of them.
Why? Oh, are we being thrown out right now?
I don't know. I don't see anything. Loopy, return to flight is on. We're waiting for SpaceX to say whether or not they're flying tonight or when. I think SpaceX.
Oh, we're so young. To be young again.
I think Kevin has to go to the bathroom or something. He's trying to play us off and in the show.
Also ironic that back then none of us had beards and now all of us have them.
Yeah, Kevin is like throwing us
We're
out
all the
right
way to
now.
the thanks
Wow.
the members. Jeez. Who's thanking the
Hey.
members?
Thank you to
Well-
all these people. Yep.
Thank you, members! Especially launch directors and flight engineers, giving some of the highest levels of support that allow us to have these amazing cameras all over the place, including at Starbase, where you can watch things live 24/7, Space Coast live, and Engine's Gotta Be Tested Somewhere, so also McGregor live, among other things, with your support. So thank you to all of our members.
Am I supposed to be reading a channel somewhere that I'm missing? Like, is there?
Oh,
some,
here
what is
comes
this?
the
Oh.
here comes the gift parade.
Yeah, I don't know. Kevin maybe lost like his keyboard or something.
Did he not type?
Yeah.
That's I'm sure that's Kevin's reaction right now. Is what EJ's doing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Buy
Look
the
at
shirt.
that.
Buy the
Oh
shirt.
yeah.
Can we just put that in the store? Let's just put that
Yeah.
in the store.
We can.
Just do that.
We can.
Oh gosh.
It's awesome.
Super DOS.
Sticker.
Das is Tony Stark.
I literally was getting dressed before the show and figured I'd put that in there. Stickers, by the way.
Coming.
More shirt gift. Oh, goodness. DOS winking in air quotes. I like.
I think my face was just twitching.
All right.
I don't know what's going on there.
Okay.
What am I scribing there?
Are you doing math? Air
Yeah.
math?
That's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
like
Oh,
imaginary
yeah.
air.
Look at that. That's what Haas is like, no!
There's the finger.
There's the DOS finger.
Who needs DOS art when you've got DOS finger?
That's hilarious.
Wait, is that the
I've
end? Oh,
not
no.
updated it.
It's the news update. From the
Engine
field.
update.
Engine update. Nice.
It's we will make sure to update that, and maybe we can update that in the future and report it again. I mean,
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, with as
should-
much
we
effort
should-
it seems went into this graphic, we got to use it in another stream.
Yep. You will.
Oh,
we
they're,
will make.
they're such cool designs, though. They're such cool designs. They really are.
Thanks, Pauline. Honestly.
All right.
All right. Well,
Have we come to the end of the show?
I think
I
we're
believe
being I
so.
think we're being rolled out. It's like, we want to accept the Oscar, but they keep playing
No.
the music. And
The music
Listen.
stopped. So,
Yeah.
anyways, over at Starbase, jump right
Anyway.
back into it.
Yep. Oh,
Yep,
No.
there it is.
No.
no, he started it again. Oh no. I think we're done here. Anyway, Nas, thank you for coming in and joining us. This was great. It was a
Yes.
good time, man.
Good times. I don't get the opportunity to join as much as I'd like, but I like to research stuff and I like to understand what's going on. And I figured I'd come talk about it today. Here I am.
Yep. There you go. That's the captain of the ship, chat. Captain, along with the Burgonator.
Caretaker. It's more like a lighthouse, EJ. I'm just trying to keep the light on.
Yeah. Sweet. Adrian, thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. Appreciate the knowledge drops in here. It's always a good time with the FAA updates. You're the FAA whisperer, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Sometimes it works out with these updates, so I'm glad we got that just perfectly timed. I still think that was an amazing timing with that update. And remember, we don't know for sure yet, but there could be a Falcon 9 tonight.
We'll see.
Oh boy. And then bringing up the tail end of the ship, Mr. Sawyer. Sawyer, thanks as always, man.
Why am I at the tail end? Isn't best for last?
Yeah.
Sure.
What did you think I was
Sure,
doing?
yeah.
Sure.
What did you
Thanks.
think I was doing, man?
I don't know. Thanks everyone as well for the well wishes. Soon I will be back on camera, I promise. And Jake is on my lap as we speak, so you will see him again soon.
All right. That's what I'm here for, man.
Did we mention the socials? I think did we do that? Do
We
have
did
a thing
not.
to show?
I
or
was
something?
actually just about to do it. I mean, Das, tee us up. What do you got?
Oh no, I don't know if we're going to show the thing or not. But if you can't wait to hear our opinions until next Friday, follow us on social media,
Oh,
where we'll
jeez.
continue to talk about things.
Yep.
Oh, there
And-
should be a command in chat that they can run. If there's not, somebody needs to make one.
And there
I know
should be
there's
an
a
info
card we
card.
can show you. I don't know. There should be an info
There it
card or
is.
something. Where is it?
It's up there.
Oh, that's smaller than I thought. Anyways, follow us on social. The social team does a lot of good work getting time lapses and information and stuff like that out to you. So, anyways,
All right. And then I'm still doing my bad job hosting over here. I'm EJ_SA. I stream over on Twitch, and I was doing the hosting tonight in lieu of Jack, who will be back soon. Oh,
Also, thanks to Kevin Michael Reed for producing.
I was getting to it, man.
Making
Jeez.
sure.
I was gonna go lay by the bay and make things out of clay. I just may. What do you say? And Kevin doing the
You ate
production
what for
for us on the back
breakfast?
end. Yeah, what? No,
Sorry.
no, it's all good, man. Kevin, thank you for doing the back end. I think we're done here, guys. We're gonna put a bow on this and send it.
And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, Atlantic.
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside SPD off. Bring in SPD off. It's orange! Orange 25! Oh my god! Oh my god! Decollage! Look at this! Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes!
You're clear except for it's a member here. Members.
By the way, you are supposed to wave. I waved. Why didn't you?
I don't know. Yeah, I was like, am I supposed to wave or what?
I waved. Get it?
Hey,
'Cause
where's
you
the
can't
chat where we can chat with the members?
Go to members multi-view in the Discord.
Uh-huh.
Then you have to click on on the open chat thing because
But I mean, do I have to click on listen in? That's
Oh,
gonna kick me out
no,
of the other
don't
chat.
do that. There's a little
no,
chat
no.
icon.
If you mouse over on the left side.
That's there it is. It's way down there. And there's a little chat icon. Nice. Hi Alien, how's it going?
I love how Kevin just make us improvise the outro. Like at some point, it was like, okay, just do it.
Yeah, normally he'll type
Run over.
thank Jack, thank members, thank Kevin,
I
thank.
was reading the back channel and I was like, I don't. What are we actually ending? Like, what are we supposed to do here? Was Kevin just playing the Ship 26 music because I refused to be baited into talking about Ship 26?
It's one of these. It's one of these things. Like usually, Starship is the biggest item, but honestly, there was not that much about Starship this time.
Yeah, there was. We could talk more and more about the fines and stuff like that, but
yeah,
let's get
I
some
could have also
actual
went over
information.
every single V2 change, but
Yeah.
honestly, that's more a video thing. I honestly think there was not that much discussion yet about V2.
Yeah.
Das
I
wanted
forgot
to do this again.
What my
Yeah.
my obvious emotion that I needed to say something. Oh jeez.
I forgot to mention that about the OIG report about the SLS mobile launcher. I think we should.
Probably
Oh,
a good
yeah.
thing we didn't.
Was that in
would've
the
been
thing?
Spicy.
Dude, it was
Yeah.
bad.
That
It was
wasn't actually in the notes, was it?
Yeah,
I forgot it. I forgot.
I just ran out of space and topics for this week, honestly. I could have also included Clipper, the radiation story. That was also a thing. There's so much this week. There was just a limit of how much topics you can cramp into one show.
Yeah.
That ML contract is a nightmare.
That's ridiculous.
It's
Yeah.
That is
it's a
honestly pretty
nightmare.
darn ridiculous, but
I couldn't believe it.
Honestly, it's not it's still ridiculous next week. So if we feel next week there's some venting about that and we want to talk about that and go into details, it's not running away.
There's no venting.
that
No rockets are flying right now.
Yep.
Falcon
Yeah.
Light.
Huh.
LSRs, you were waiting to hear my take on the ML2 report, dude. I understand if COVID, so it was 383 million on a cost plus contract. I understand COVID could mess stuff up. So on the other side of COVID, in early 2021, the contractor said it was 680 million. So it's okay. Now it's double the price, right? I can get, dude. I can get that. That can, I understand that did screw a lot of things up. But then again, at halfway through 2021, they came back and said, "Oh yeah, no, never mind. It's going to be 900 million, right?" And then, in 2022, they're like, "Oh yeah, no, never mind. It's going to be 1.2 billion." And it's
I don't understand.
dude, it's a piece of metal. You kidding me?
Drives that sort of decision making? Does somebody think they can just get away with it? But you do something like that, and are you ever going to get another contract? It doesn't seem like the sort of thing you can cut and run with.
Dude, I don't get it. What I said, Adrian, let me just say this real quick.
Okay.
What I said is that I understand COVID. That can be excused. I get it. That did screw things up. But the second they came back and said, "Oh no, never mind. It's going to cost 900 million," I would have been like, "Screw you."
Yeah.
No, it won't. Bye. It won't cost that. Go away.
See, look, on the other end of it, we have to think about things like that sometimes. If I was doing a project for somebody, how much would I bill them for? And the project hasn't happened yet, and here's what the estimate's going to be. And I could see it going over some amount and feeling really bad about that I was really bad at estimating it. But what the heck? If it wasn't solely on the client, and that should be written into the contract, right? Somebody's like, "Oh, that's cost plus." Well, if it's the client that's driving a bunch of requirement changes midstream or something like that, of course I'm going to build the client for it, right?
Yeah.
Like it's them messing things up, but I don't see how that could be possible in this situation.
Well,
You know?
the original, yeah, no, I got you. I kind of, we did a deep dive into it on over on my end the other day, and I was just sitting here, like we went through a little bit. I didn't get through the entire OIG report. We got through a little bit. NASA had no scheduling deadlines for when they first awarded the contract. You know,
What?
there was no milestones. There was a delivery in 2023, but there were no scheduling milestones. And that, dude, I'm telling you, it's a train wreck. The whole
Yeah.
thing is a train wreck.
It's honestly this whole thing. Like I'm fully on the budget. Like you can go over budget. Like there's probably a big chunk of this is like also like resource price or whatever can change, whatever. But you can go like 50% even over budget. Like even if you double it, that's still like probably explainable. But this is now 9 times the initial budget. Like,
And
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
and this contractor has the history of doing it. The same contractor for that ML messed up the scheduling costs for the big dig in Boston by $12 billion.
Jeez.
Or not
mean,
the
at that
scheduling
point,
costs,
it's
the budget
intentional.
estimates. Yeah, that's what I mean, dude. This company has a history of doing that. Like, what the heck? What's going on here? Like, oh man.
Also-
made me a little upset. I was a little pissed.
Can we talk
Yeah.
about through all of this? NASA's cutting costs for a lunar rover that's
Oh yeah.
built, and yet this one they'll let it run way over.
Yeah, I don't
I-
get it.
the contract for the mobile launcher 2 is now about as costly as the HLS program to design a lander for the moon.
Yeah.
Just to put it in perspective, like I if we look at where Artemis is spending its money, I really don't want to spend 2.7 billion on a launcher, like on a
Yeah.
launch platform.
That's
Yep.
nonsensical.
Yeah, no, like, look, man, you know, Josh, you're right. We can't sit here and know like the exact price. We can't sit here, you know, it could be client change. It could be, dude, it's not that.
Yeah.
It's not that much.
Well,
Come on.
I'm trying to sit there and just like come up with how is this even reasonably possible, right? And that's where I get to stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like it doesn't seem reasonably possible unless
The other thing is that NASA's okay with it. That was my other thing that I talked about. They're okay with it. You know, they're like a contractor's like, oh no, 300, no, 600, no, 900.
I don't understand. Yeah,
1.2,
I
and they're
don't-
just like, oh yeah, that sucks. Okay, here you go. How much was it for again? Here you go. It's like, all right,
I mean-
what?
It's not like they started modifying it and they're like, oh, actually, that was a load bearing wall. It's going to cost twice as much to do that renovation. And by the way,
Mhm.
there's asbestos in your kitchen sink. Like,
Yeah, exactly,
it's not
right,
that
yeah.
sort of stuff that goes on. Like home improvement contractor jacking up the price or something, you know?
Yeah, dude, it's
That's not
crazy.
really
Well,
jacking up
dude.
the
If any
price.
home improvement contractor says it was going to cost you $100,000 and now it costs $1 million, you'd be like, wait, what?
And
What?
Yeah.
and then Viper, I know apples and oranges, but then you look at Viper cancellation, and Viper was cancelled to save $84 million.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
we are talking about a science project being cancelled for 84 million, but in this case, not even proper accountability, while like 2.4 billion over budget.
Yeah.
That's
And I can't believe that.
that's
Yeah.
annoying me.
Tanner, I would be concerned if anybody's kitchen sink was anything but metal. Like
Right.
lead? A lead kitchen sink? That you're cool with that, Tanner? Kidding.
Viper was, I think, not in the Artemis budget. I think it's technically CLPS, which is. I wonder, is CLPS running under Artemis?
I would hope so.
I need to look at like
Hey.
it's, but it's either way. It's 84 million. Like this, they canceled it for 84 million. They canceled it. They explicitly said launching it versus canceling it now would save us $84 million.
Well, they were worried about schedule overlap or funding overlap with another mission, which is just, I mean, once again, funding overlap, you know, getting rid of Chandra and stuff like, and then you have stuff like this going on. Why is NASA cool with that and not cool with that? Like, that's my question. Like, even
Yeah,
if it is
yeah.
apples to oranges, Adrian, like, what the heck's going on here?
Yeah, it's still it's still one project where you overspent by 2.4 billion, and
There's
the other project is overspending by less than 100 million. It's a science project, and that project gets the can.
Dude, even
Yeah.
if they wanted 100% profit margin on that, there's no way that costs $2 billion to make. There's no way. There's no way. Skyscrapers cost $2 billion to make, man. Like, this is not that. This is not even close to that. Like,
I mean,
there's no way it costs that much. Like, even if they marked it up double what like material cost and labor, there's
Yeah.
no way it costs $2 billion. No way. I'm sorry. Like, that's like saying a smart car is worth as much as a frigging Rolls Royce. There's no way.
Like if I was the client paying for that, I would demand to see where the overrun's coming from. And surely NASA has done that, right? Like when can we see why this is costing so much more? Have we seen that? I actually don't know. I didn't research this a bunch or
The
anything.
OIG had some stuff in it, dude. But yeah, nothing like. They said that Bechtel's like mismanaged and stuff. Whatever. Like, okay, great.
Yeah.
So why didn't you drop them? Why you sitting there and just keep going with it? Like, oh, jeez, it's frustrating.
It's almost a sort of like it's so tough because you have a contractor that's not doing a great job or not delivering, but they're critical to the entire program, right? And there's an argument that the right thing to do is teach everybody a lesson and ditch the contractor that didn't perform. And on the flip side, who else are you going to give it to that's going to get it done in time that won't destroy the rest of the program, right?
Jacobs, the people that made the first mobile launcher.
And they still do it?
They're still working on ML1 right now. They're working on the upgrades. Just they're right there. Like, why didn't you choose them to begin with? They built one already.
Yeah.
I mean, but do they have the resources to do both at the same time and stay on schedule?
Yeah.
I don't know any of
Yeah,
these
I don't know.
answers, right?
I mean, the answer basically is like canceling all of these science projects doesn't like it doesn't probably lose you support that you need, and B, it's probably a bit easier to do in like the overall picture. Artemis, if you cancel Mobile Launcher 2, we have a problem with Artemis, and not to throw like there's no guarantee that another company you would pick would do a better job, right? Like there's probably other companies in there that would do the same kind of, and I will openly call this like a bit of a shady thing because I honestly think there's no way to go this much over budget by accident. Like
Yeah.
no
Dude,
no
that's
way.
it.
I don't understand. Like, is somebody out there lining their pockets and they're going to freaking retire on it and disappear and never have to work or be CEO or whatever? Like, I can't even fathom how somebody would intentionally do this sort of stuff and be okay with it.
I mean, Bechtel has like basically no incentive to finish this, and that's the whole crazy thing about these kind of structured contracts, right? Bechtel doesn't gain anything. Like if you imply they don't want to have another contract in the future, but which honestly I see a hard time getting them another contract in the future. If they assume they don't want that, they don't gain anything by finishing this on time anymore. They just gain more money by delaying.
Hmm.
They incentived to not finish it.
Well, that's the thing, man. You know, I don't mind cost plus contracts, but if you go and you award a cost plus contract with no deadline and no scheduling milestones,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do? Like, come on, that's on you. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's such a thing. Like, I understand why stuff like that exists because for very many years of my life, I've had to budget stuff like that, right? And when you're on the provider end where you are the company that is getting contracted, sometimes it's a necessity to structure things that way, right? But that's why I can't freaking fathom how I could, if I was doing that, I could ever justify an overrun like that unless it was 100% on the client and absolutely documented. You know, like put a graphics designer terms. Oh, it's going to take me $500 to make this design. And then every design that you come back with the client is like, oh, no, change it. Oh, no, change it. Oh, no, change it. And you do that ad infinitum. Cost plus, you can't do that forever, right? The graphics designer could not do their work where the client offers infinite changes or requires infinite changes before the work is done and accepted, right? Graphics designer would go out of business. You can't adjust or you can't allocate infinite hours to a project that you've been paid a fixed amount for. On the flip side, I can't imagine taking advantage of that. Like it's a
Yep.
fair thing, and it has to be completely on them. Has to be communicated like, okay, hey, just so you know, we've blown through the number of comps that you agreed to, and if you want more, it's going to take more time. You're going to get charged for it, right? Like you have to do that to protect yourself on the contracting side sometimes, but out of the blue, all of a sudden, so much more. Like that's lousy.
I'm
Yeah,
I'm
man.
just
I turned my
I
light
would
off, by the way.
I would be embarrassed, honestly, if I would be the one that calculated that. Like, if it's a genuine mistake,
Yeah,
like I would be embarrassed. Like
You
that's
guys,
that's
yeah.
that's like not a we went a bit over. That's we are approaching an order of magnitude wrong.
yeah.
It's
That's what I mean, man. If you read that OIG report, you'll be like, yeah, like I'm not, not malice. I think it's just they seriously underestimated how difficult this is going to be. It's moving cryogenics around, and it shows. But
I
like,
think
Oh,
yeah,
never done that before. Move
yeah.
cryogenics around.
I,
Guess we're
I
doing
think
cryogenics now.
I think the private industry is almost like doing this at this point by incentive, because NASA and everybody, like, they look at these fancy numbers when they get proposals, and they're like, oh cool, we can get a new launch platform for 300 million, and it almost feels at this point like these projects are almost intentionally under what they will actually cost, and then you
Yeah.
just hope that you will just survive on a bigger budget, because you might not get the project in the first place if you tell the truth at the beginning. Because I wonder if Bechtel would have get the contract if they told NASA, we will do this for 2.7 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe, customer initiated approved change orders eligible for additional funding. Like, see the freaking back, like what was changed or why was it done? Like, that is a viable process, right? And there's a right way to do it, not just like, oh, by the way, you know. But like I said, I haven't had a chance to look at the exact situation that much.
Did you guys read what I had on screen about CLPS? Like, I think it's a really cool program because
Yeah.
it gives smaller companies an opportunity to be a part of something, to test technology, to develop new technology. But I find this strange. CLPS contracts are indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contracts with a cumulative
IDIQ.
maximum contract value of 2.6 billion.
Per or total?
I guess
Total.
cumulative means total.
Cumulative. Okay, you said
Yes.
cumulative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's almost like NASA saying, "Hey, we're gonna we don't care about time. We don't care about the timeline for Artemis." You
Well, it's
know,
almost like an injection into the economy or development of the technology
right?
at that point.
Like
Like if you don't.
this, Jack says it all the time. Sometimes it's a jobs program. This seems like a jobs program, especially the way it's like indefinite, right?
Yeah.
There's no deadline. I understand that it's about developing new technology and figuring out how to get to the moon and Mars, but at the same time, with no deadline, what do you expect to get out of it?
Yeah. I think a lot of these, Kevin, are sized out smaller, and it's like if you want your bigger piece of the pie, you need to deliver stuff. So the folks that drag it out for too long, it's like, okay, yeah, we got money and now we're just going to make off with it. Versus if you really want a big piece of the pie, you develop and deliver the technology, and then you can get a bigger contract after that because of like the kickstart that you did if you're doing it
Right.
right,
Yeah.
versus just, you know, they don't have to have the date there because the date's not driven by their timeline. The real driving force is, hey, if you actually want to take this to market and make even more money off of it, you got to deliver it at some point. So that's on you. We're not giving you anything else unless you create something worthwhile and then deliver it. And then there's this other contract that moves it into a more operational
Yeah, I mean
capacity,
it's
right?
like seed money. I mean, really, because you're talking
It's
a
seed money.
ton of
Yep.
companies. It's really seed money to get a company with an idea started.
It's
But
like
at the
they're
same
fishing.
time, it's just like
Yeah.
IDIQ is weird.
Yeah.
I feel like
There's
it's this weird. Oh god, it does.
Oh, no, I was just saying they're spreading it around to see what works and what doesn't without having a ton of worry as to whether this one thing will work or not, you know?
Sometimes it almost feels like for me for a weird crossover of like Funders Money and X Prize. because it always, if you get results, you also have a higher chance then of getting further. So it's
Yep,
like
yep.
almost this combination of like, hey, we'll give you, usually like these initial contracts on CLPS is like 40 to 60 million, like
Yeah.
that's usually these initial contracts. And then, for example, for Astrobotics got a second one. Astrobotics got the Griffin lander, which was then awarded for 200 million. So they initially proved, hey, we are building the first one, and then here's the way bigger piece we're now proposing to you, and NASA's like, okay, here's 200 million.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Neat.
honestly, cool missions coming out from that. By the way, I think CLPS is. I mean, we had Peregrine, which was amazing. We had IM-1. It's honestly starting to be really, really cool in terms of payloads.
Yeah. Oy.
All right, guys.
All
I'm
right.
gonna head out. I'll see you.
Cool. Later,
See you
dude.
later, members. Bye, guys.
Bye,
Thank you.
EJ.
It's fun.
Now you're gonna be frozen, EJ.
He's
Make a good face. Yeah, there you go. Now click end. Yeah, yeah.
got to look to the side. Hover your mouse before you
There we
click.
go. He did it. He did a perfect
Yay!
freeze frame.
Nice.
I'm after this. I think it's for me. It's lunchtime.
And for me, it's dinner time.
Lunchtime. It's
I need to go
8:18
find-
p.m. What time is it there? It's like 2 a.m.
Okay. I am back over here. All right. Is this coming back up? There we go. Hey, Rain. 41 month resub. Thank you. Oh, there we go. Yeah, no, I'm here. All right. So, fellas, we're going to have racing in about 2 hours, around 10 o'clock. So, good space. Did you guys like it? I don't feel good. I'm not gonna lie. I think the reason why the streaming schedule hasn't been that very good over the last couple of days is because I'm getting sick. I really started to not feel good during that flame trench. I was trying as hard as I could to be okay. Hey, testing. Anyway, has it been dry there? The late summer dryness has always bothered me. I don't feel good. I don't feel good, guys. I'm probably going to go lie down before racing. So if you're not into racing, I will see you guys on Tuesday. I'm going to take the next couple of days off, but I'm a little annoyed that I'm sick. If Polaris Dawn flies over the weekend, I'll be here, okay? You knocked it out of the park? Well, that's good. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. I do appreciate it. I'll be here if Polaris Dawn goes, but I'm gonna be back for racing at 10 in a little bit now. At 10 o'clock. Yeah, I gotta go lie down like that. I've been having to do that for like the past couple of days. I hope I didn't get sick. But anyway, I just woke up and caught the end of Flame Trench. We'll have to watch the VOD. Right on. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. Once again, if you're not going to come back for racing, I will see you on Tuesday. I'm taking Labor Day off because my in-laws are here, and I don't like working when they're here. I like spending time with them. Polaris Dawn is out for the next 5 days. Weather is bad, confirmed by Jared. Go and rest. All right, cool. So, yeah, if you're not in for racing, I'll see you on Tuesday. If not, I'll see you in about 2 hours. Thank you very much for watching, everybody, and I'll see you in a little bit.